Okay, hey everyone, how are you doing? Okay. Okay. Hey guys, how's everyone doing today? Uh... Okay. Guess who turned 21 on Tuesday? Oh, happy birthday then, Cayman. Hey. Hey everyone. Yeah, Days Gone Remastered is a lot of fun. I'll have the next part tomorrow. It's gonna be Bob's Blender. Hey Pat, someone's birthday to Al Pacino is he's 85. Oh, Al Pacino's 85. Damn, he's really old now. But happy birthday though, Cayman, and everyone wish Cayman a happy birthday. I love your Saints Row videos. Thank you, dude. Am I gonna do an Oblivion remaster series? Yes, that's a good question, Preston. Here's the thing. I actually planned on doing an Oblivion remaster series. I actually did plan it. But what happened was Bethesda's random schedule completely threw me off. Because I hadn't anticipated that Oblivion remaster would just drop like this. I thought that there would be like a trailer or something, and then the remaster would drop like maybe June or July or something like that. I didn't expect it to just randomly drop on the same day the trailer would be announced. I did not expect that to happen. So to answer your question, yes, I'll do an Oblivion series, but when I do Oblivion, it will be like a few months from now. And when I do Oblivion, I will do basically everything in Oblivion. I will do the iconic quests, the main quest, and the Dark Brotherhood and the Thieves Guild and the Fighters Guild and all that. I'll do videos on that. But I will say this: when I do my playthrough in Oblivion is going to be a bit different than my playthrough on Fallout 3, because my Fallout 3 playthrough I was doing like everything at once. My Oblivion playthrough, how it's going to basically work is I'm going to focus everything on doing the main quest. So just get the main quest done, and then I'm going to do a separate playthrough for like Dark Brotherhood. So Dark Brotherhood storyline will just all be in one playthrough. Thieves Guild will all be in one playthrough, stuff like that. So it'll just so each faction I'll have like a separate playthrough for that, just to make it more simple to like watch that, because then I'll be like running around between all the factions and the playthrough will get confusing. So it's But yeah, for anybody who's played Skyrim, you have to play Oblivion, and I will say this: the Dark Brotherhood in Oblivion is 10 times better than the Dark Brotherhood in Skyrim. The Dark Brotherhood in Oblivion is so much better than the Dark Brotherhood in Skyrim. Good news, I finally got a new job after 2 months. Oh, I'm happy for you, DL Gaming. What kind of job did you get? Just want to say, love your history stuff, man. Thank you, Mike.
The blazes do you think you're doing?
I'm glad you've been watching the Ace Attorney Chronicles. That was a really fun series to do. And the soundtrack was really good in that game, too. I look like the actor Jeremy Renner? Who's that? Well, you said he's an actor, but I don't know him. He plays Hawkeye in the MCU. Oh, him. Didn't he also play in 28 Weeks Later? Didn't he also play in that one too? Oh, that's okay, Zach. Watch whenever you want, dude. Who do I think is the most evil person in Oblivion? The most evil person would probably have to be Mehrunes Dagon, but he's a god. So, if you're talking about specific, like, NPCs, the most specific character in Oblivion, the most evil character in Oblivion, to think about that one. Maybe Mankar Cameron, the leader of the Mythic Dawn, because he basically trapped his followers into like a world where they were just suffering and enslaved. The Dark Elf prisoner at the beginning is pretty evil. His trash talking, yeah, but there's actually a scene in the game where you can get revenge on him later on. I don't want to spoil too much about that, but. Pearl, doesn't the death penalty violate the 8th Amendment? With 8th Amendment, you're talking about cruel and unusual punishment, because the 8th Amendment forbids cruel and unusual punishment. But you have to remember what the 8th Amendment specifically says. Cruel and unusual punishment. And the death penalty, the death penalty was not considered cruel. As long as there's no torture involved throughout most of, history, has not been considered cruel in American history. So, the death penalty was a regular, regular thing that happened. George Washington sentenced people to death. He did too. So it was, George Washington sentenced the mutineers to death. So there was like a mutiny in the Continental Army during the Revolutionary War, and George Washington sentenced them to a firing squad. So that, there was the death penalty would not be illegal under the 8th Amendment because it was considered was considered common for the time, and it wasn't considered cruel. Torture, for example, is illegal under the 8th Amendment. Torture is considered cruel, but the death penalty wouldn't. People have made that argument before about that the death penalty should be illegal because of the 8th Amendment, but you have to also remember that the Founding Fathers, had largely supported the death penalty. So it was, for them, they didn't see it as cruel. It was a common method of punishment in their time period. Also, the main reason that the 8th Amendment was written, it was written in response to the British prisoner ships. There was this one British prisoner ship called the Jersey, and these prisoner ships were very inhumane. The Jersey, for example, was docked in the Hudson in New York harbors, and it had hundreds of, I think over 1,000 continental, American prisoners on it. And this ship was only supposed to hold like, I think a few hundred at max, but it held thousands. So you had all these American prisoners just cramped up in these conditions. They were all tied down. They had their heads on these, like, this little wooden thing where you have your head trapped in that and you couldn't move. Specifically, like, kneeling down. You couldn't sit down. You couldn't lay down. The food would be terrible. It would be rotten. It would be extremely hot on that ship in the summertime. Diseases would spread. People would starve to death. And whenever an American died on that prisoner ship, what would happen was the British soldiers would basically force the American prisoners to just pick up the dead American and just throw him overboard, and then he would float down the Hudson, and people would see that in New York. But here's the crazy thing about this, and this is the part of history that people don't know about. People don't know this very well, but more American soldiers actually died being British prisoners of war, so they died as being prisoners under the British, than they died in combat. A lot of people don't know that. So that's how cruel the British were to American prisoners. A lot of people don't think about that. They think that if you were an American prisoner and you were taken, if you were captured by the British, you'd be treated fairly and humanely. that they were gentlemen, but no, that is not what happened at all. A lot of Americans died under British captivity. It was very bad. If you're a prisoner, you had a very low chance of surviving. The only way that you could really survive as an American prisoner if you were an officer. If you were like a higher up officer, if you were like a lieutenant, a captain, you would be treated a little bit better. But if you were just like a private, corporal, even a sergeant, no, you would the chances of you surviving would be very slim. So that's really where the 8th Amendment comes from. So when you have cruel and unusual punishment, it's a reference to the Americans who had basically died in British captivity, and what it basically said was that torture is illegal. You cannot torture. That's what cruel and unusual punishment is. It forbids that. But I will say this about it. The death penalty technically does not violate the 8th Amendment, but do you know what does violate the 8th Amendment? I'll tell you what violates the 8th Amendment. Guantanamo Bay. That camp specifically, the American base in Cuba where they torturing prisoners there, that violates the 8th Amendment. That is a violation of that. And the US government gets around that. What they basically say is they say, "Oh, it's not on American soil. It's in Cuba." Because if it was directly on American soil, they would not be able to do that because it would violate the Constitution. The 8th Amendment forbids torture. But because they put it in Cuba, that's how they basically got around that, and they said, "Oh, we can do torture on prisoners here because it's not in the United States," but it's still technically a violation of the 8th Amendment. Let me see here. I hope I answered your question. Hey Patrick, happy Friday, man. Always love starting the weekend with your Red Dead streams. Also, really enjoying your Men of Valor playthrough. Thank you, Eric. We're pretty close to the end of the Men of Valor playthrough. I think the game has like 14 or 15 missions in total, so we're pretty close to the end of it also. Thank you, Eric. Thank you for being a member of my channel for 4.5 years. Thank you, dude. If you could choose, would I rather go through The Last of Us, Resident Evil, or Days Gone Infection Virus? Definitely not The Last of Us. I guess it would depend on which virus in Resident Evil, because Resident Evil, there's so many different zombie variants. But I would say probably Days Gone. I would probably prefer that one, because in Days Gone, you look at, for example, what the militia did. The militia, like, they burned most of the forest down just so they could see, like, hordes from a very far distance. So I would say probably the Days Gone apocalypse probably have the better chance of surviving than the Last of Us apocalypse. Thank you, Mythagoras. Thank you for sponsoring the channel. Is Woodrow Wilson the biggest narcissist president because he thinks he's a messiah and he thinks he's always 100% right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Well, he would definitely be one of the most narcissistic American presidents. Yeah, I would definitely, I would definitely agree with you. Yeah, he might even be the most narcissistic American president. He might be. He thought he was always smarter than everybody. He thought he was better than everybody. You have to also remember that, Woodrow Wilson basically lied in his presidency. He broke his biggest promise. Woodrow Wilson was elected in America not to get America involved in the war. So, like, a lot of Americans were scared that we would get involved in World War I. And so most of the American public did not want to get involved in World War I. And Wilson basically ran saying, you re-elect me, I promise we will not get involved in World War I. He broke that promise. He got the U.S. Involved in World War I. He got, thousands of young, Americans drafted and killed in the war. And the thing about this, what Wilson also did is Wilson could not handle criticism. He actually suspended the First Amendment. So during Wilson's presidency, if you protested against American involvement in World War I, you say, I don't think it's right that we're getting drafted and, sent to, to Europe to fight for these, colonial empires, Wilson would have arrested you. So it was actually illegal to actually protest against, U.S. involvement in World War I during Wilson's presidency. So he was, arresting people for protesting against him too. Yeah, he's, I would say he probably is the biggest narcissistic president in American history. Wilson just did so many bad things. He was also a massive racist too. He was just an overall not a good person.
You want to confess to someone? Ask for a
What are your thoughts on that chicken thing at the Minecraft movie where hooligans trashed a theater and snuck in a chicken? What? I heard the whole chicken jockey thing where they're throwing like popcorn around, but they snuck in a chicken. What is this about? Now I have to look into this. Chicken wrap. You should be able to just join the posse. The posse's open. Yeah, there you go, dude. Is this like a video? I hope that I'll lose potentially everything. I'm just praying the insurance works out. I hope that everything works out for you with your case, Blinded Eagle. You can talk to me anytime you want. What, Bunny, what video is this? What's the name of the YouTube video that they snuck in a chicken into a movie theater? What is this video? What is it exactly? What's the name of it? He looks like he's 17. I look like I'm 17? Well, I'll take that as a compliment. I'm actually 30 years old. So if I look young, then I guess it's a good thing. Chicken jockey with a real chicken. That's the thing. The thing is, you have to also remember the people that are at these movie theaters. The amount that they have to clean up. People aren't thinking about that. What the workers have to go through cleaning all that stuff up. You mean my Reddit online lobby, Tom? You should just be able to join. Explain how Italian Renaissance artists infatuated with ancient Greek and Roman culture, such as Orpheus myth and eventually Orfeo opera 1600. I'll be honest with you, Vertigo, I don't really know much about that. I don't know much about, like, opera or art, you know, stuff like that. I know about a few famous paintings, but my speciality in history is more like, you know, battles, wars, like, conflicts, you know, stuff like that. Laws. I generally don't know much about, you know, that stuff that you're asking me. I don't know much about art. But, if you have, like, any other historical question, I'll be happy to answer it. I'm just sorry, I just don't really have an answer for you. Appreciate the super chat, but I don't even know what the Le Orfeo opera is. I don't know much about that. I can't stand when players assume Niko Bellic is Russian just because he has a certain dialect. I believe he is Eastern European or Slavic. Yeah, he's Slavic. Some people refer to Yugoslavia as Eastern Europe, but a lot of people refer to it as Southeastern Europe. Yeah, Niko Bellic is Slavic, but he's not Russian. But a lot of people think that he's Russian because of his accent. You know, I wish they would have explored that a little bit more. That Niko, you know, would have said, you know, where he's from exactly. There is one line in the game where he gets called a Russian and he says, "I'm not a Russian." He says that to the gun shop guy. So when you're purchasing weapons from the gun shop guy, the guy that's in broker, you know, he says that you Russians are milking me dry, and Niko says, "I'm not a Russian." That's what he says. So it's But the thing about it is that Niko was a supporter of Yugoslavia, so he supports the old Yugoslavian system. He does talk a little bit about that, but like Niko was never he never identifies as Serbian in the game. I mean, his nationality is Serbian and he speaks Serbian. But if you were to ask Niko Bellic what his nationality is, he probably wouldn't say that he's Serbian. He probably would say that he's Yugoslavian. And there are actually a lot of people today in the former Yugoslavian countries that still identify that way. So there are people in like Serbia, you know, Croatia, Bosnia, and they will say, for example, that, oh, I'm not Bosnian, I'm not Croatian, I'm not, you know, Serbian, I'm Yugoslavian. So there are a few people. Most people identify with their specific countries today, but there still are a few people that identify as Yugoslavian. Oh, hi. Oh, thank you. $100 super chat. That's the largest super chat in some time. Thank you, Zombie Spiral. Thank you, dude. Everyone give a special shout out there to Zombie Spiral. Thank you, dude. Thank you, dude. Hey, Professional, it's been a while and I've donated. I'm glad you are keeping the Red Dead Redemption 2 servers alive, even if Rockstar doesn't care if it's dead or not. I graduated Army Basic Combat Training yesterday, so I can finally catch up on your videos. Keep up the great work, man. Thank you, Zombie. Thank you, dude. I really appreciate it. Thank you, man. You are awesome. Thank you, dude. And also, check out my Days Gone playthrough if you like Red Dead. It's another open world game that I'm playing right now, but you do play as a biker. But I like Days Gone also a lot too. I'm playing it right now. But thank you, dude. for the super chat. And also, I'm gonna make a video. I'm gonna make a video this summer in July, and the video I'll make in July is rating all of the Red Dead Online updates from worst to best. And I'll make that because it'll be the 4-year anniversary of Rockstar abandoning Red Dead Online. It'll be the 4 years after the Blood Money update, which came out in July of 2021. So it'll be 4 years of this game being abandoned, and I'll make a video rating all of the updates. But, man, imagine that. We have basically missed out on 4 years of content. Imagine that. And every year, we technically would have gotten 2 DLCs. So, one DLC in the summer, one in the winter time. So imagine how many, in 4 years, and it hasn't been this summer yet, so 2, 4, 6, 7. We would have had 7 DLCs by now. 7 DLCs. Imagine that, if Rockstar had not abandoned Red Dead Online. So it's such a shame. The game had so much potential, but the thing is, I like playing this game, and I like playing this game with friends, so I'm never going to abandon this game. Even after GTA 6 comes out, I'm still going to keep playing Red Dead Online on Fridays. Just the only difference is that on Sunday, we'll replace GTA Online with GTA 6, streams. GTA 6 Online streams. But other than that, I'll always keep doing the Red Dead Online streams, and the thing is, though, is like around close to 100,000 of my subscribers, around 100,000, are from my Red Dead videos, my Red Dead content back in the day. So I had gotten like thousands of subscribers from the Red Dead content. Most are from GTA, but I do have like at least a huge chunk also from the Red Dead content. And I do have people on my channel that don't really play the GTA games, and they've watched primarily the Red Dead content. But thank you, dude. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. Thank you, Sweet Pumpkin, also. And sorry, Patrick, I like classical antiquity era. Thank you, thank you, Vertigo. Well, yeah, I'm, and you don't have to apologize, dude. I appreciate the super chat. I'll be honest with you. I don't really know anything about art. So, like, historical art, I don't know much about that stuff. I know more about, like I said, battles and, like, empires and, historical events and laws. I don't know much about art, but if there's any other historical question you want to ask me, I'll be glad to answer it. Guns are devil, having it a borrowed courage, but some say gun make all men equal. It treated kings and peasants alike. For me, that is democracy. Thank you, Migo. And what a currency is that peace symbol? I don't know if I've seen that one before. Thank you, Migo, for the super chat, too. Thank you, dude. Yeah, I will tell you, I will tell you this also. Do you know here's what a lot of people don't know, is that the first forms of gun control throughout history have been basically dictatorships, controlling their population and controlling the poor. That's pretty much what gun control started out historically. Like, for example, one of the first countries in the world to actually ban firearms was actually Japan, and we're not talking modern day. We're actually talking in the 1600s. So in the 1600s, Japan actually banned firearms, but didn't ban firearms for everybody. It banned firearms for the peasants. And do you know who banned the firearms? The samurai. The samurai were the ones who banned the firearms. They forbid, because the samurai were the ruling class in Japan, and they banned the peasants from owning firearms. They did not allow them specifically to own firearms. And there's a misconception about history where people think that the samurai did not use guns. The samurai very much did use guns. They did. But the reason the samurai did not want peasants to have guns is because even though, these were one-shot matchlocks at that time period, these fired a very powerful ball. And, this would pierce a samurai's armor. This would go right through a samurai's armor. So imagine that like, a peasant could defend themselves from, like, a samurai, coming and charging at him. He could just shoot the samurai. And so the samurai did not want that. And the thing is, a lot of the samurai were not these noble and good people that people think they are. Like, the movies and the anime, people think that samurai were, like, really honorable, good people. Well, a lot of times the samurai were scumbags. The samurai would go into villages, they would harass the peasants in Japan, they would treat them like crap. They would extort them, they would steal money from them, take their crops. And also, it was actually considered a death penalty in Japan to insult a samurai. So if you were like a peasant and a samurai walked into your village and, like, stole your crops, stole your money, and you said, F you, samurai, you get your head cut off. They'd kill you for that. So there was, the samurai were just, scumbags. A lot of them were. Not every samurai was a scumbag. There was obviously honorable samurais that were good people, but a lot of the samurais were scumbags. They were not this noble group that is portrayed throughout history, and that's why they didn't want the Japanese peasantry to own firearms, so that the peasants could not protect themselves specifically from the samurai. And also, when it comes to Europe, the first gun control that actually happened in Europe, technically not gun control, but I would still put it on that, would be the Vatican. The Vatican actually banned crossbows. So the Vatican issued a proclamation in which they told every single kingdom to ban crossbows. Now, not every single kingdom complied with this. Some didn't listen to the Vatican, but the Vatican were the ones who had basically banned crossbows. And the reason that they wanted crossbows banned is because crossbows were a fairly new weapon at that time. I mean, crossbows technically had existed for hundreds of years, but by like the 10th century, they had become fairly common, especially in civilian markets. And what would happen is the difference between a crossbow and a bow and arrow is that a bow and arrow is something that would take months or even years to learn how to, operate. A crossbow is something that you could learn how to shoot and fire accurately within a day or two. Like, that is how much better a crossbow was. Crossbows were revolutionary. A peasant could learn how to load and fire a crossbow within a day, where to be a good bowman, you'd have to learn that for months or possibly years. And so, basically, think about it this way, that a bolt could actually just go through and pierce these knights' armor. And the aristocrats, they were basically the Europeans' version of the samurai. The aristocrats were the ones who treated the peasants in Europe like garbage. And, the peasants would live in these manors, these farms, and the aristocrat would basically take 70% of their crops. And he would use the knights to basically enforce their will on this. Was what feudalism was. It was a form of extortion. It was basically like the mafia, but legally. That's what it pretty much was, what the aristocrats were doing. So there was basically a way for them to control their population. So this is what people don't know, is that the first forms of gun control throughout history were passed by really oppressive people that were trying to basically control their people in both Europe and in Japan. But thank you for the super chat, Migo. Now there's a ridiculous theory going around that the girl covered in mud in the GTA 6 trailer is Tracy. What? Unless they confirmed that, I don't I don't believe that. My dad went to Australia a couple of years ago, and during Anzac Day, he met a Vietnam War veteran who was a pilot during the war. I don't know if he flew helicopters or bombers. Oh, and how is your dad's interaction with him, Gunner? Today's 1 year since the Flash canonically vanished. You mean the superhero? Are you gonna play Amanda the Adventurer and 2? Yeah, I could eventually play it. I'm always open to fan suggestions. I just have a lot of games to get through right now. Can you have a Jormungand lore video about Coco? If I was to have a lore video on Coco specifically, though, Suppressor, I think it might be boring because I would only use pictures. I would not use any video whatsoever. And the reason for that is because I don't like doing lore videos on TV shows or on movies. I don't. And the reason I don't like doing them, it's not because I wouldn't enjoy it. I would. It's because whenever I do a lore video on anything like a movie, a TV show, anything like that, the copyright is ridiculous. It's like, my videos will constantly keep getting claimed by just such stupid things over and over and over again. Like, I was doing an exclusive stream the other day for my channel members. If any of my channel members are here, you remember what happened. And what basically happened was I was explaining to them who Nico Bellic was based on, and Nico Bellic was based on Sasha from, Behind Enemy Lines. It's like a 2001 movie. And I just, went on YouTube, and I looked up, movie scenes of, Sasha, and I was just, reacting to it, and, during the exclusive stream, just showing my members, my Patreon supporters, this is the guy who Nico was based on. And I only reacted to, a 2-minute clip. And even though I reacted to a 2-minute clip during the live stream, it blocked the entire stream. So the stream got taken down during just me reacting to a 2-minute clip. It was ridiculous. So that's why I don't like, doing any kind of video on TV shows or movies. Games are a lot easier for me because games I don't have to worry about that stuff because the copyright is just so ridiculous. It's just out of control. It's like even just reacting to a 2-minute video, the fact that my video or stream could just get blocked over something like that's so stupid. Yeah, I heard about the Yakuza TV show. Yeah, I know. I haven't gotten the chance to play it, Assassin Wolf. Yeah, I read your comment, Gunner. How was your dad's overall interaction with him? Would you consider Gary Smith bad or evil and bull? You mean the guy who betrays you? Evil. Gary was very manipulative. He was generally, Gary was showing early signs of psychopathy. So, yeah, that's what I would say about Gary. Now explain Rome collapse, Odoacer King, 476. Um, well, ancient Rome, thank you for the super chat, Vertigo. Ancient Rome collapsed because of just, it was a combination of factors. But one of the reasons that ancient Rome collapsed was it had too much territory that it could not control. So Rome had like the thing about ancient Rome, and this is what people don't understand about Rome. People look at a map of ancient Rome, right? And they look at that map and they say, oh wow, Rome is really big. You know, it's it has borders. You know, but really big borders around. You know, pretty much controls a huge chunk of Europe. But the thing about that is that even though on a map that land was technically, conquered by the Roman Empire, not all of it was, fully occupied. Not all of it was fully, what's the word that I would use? I'm trying to think of the word that I would use to describe it. It wasn't fully, damn, I gotta think about this one a little bit. Fully held, that's what I would say. Because here's the thing is, there's a difference between occupying a territory and holding a territory, and it's not the same thing. Or conquered, we could use the thing, because like for example, like when Germany, even when Germany was like conquering the Soviet Union, and you look at like World War II maps and you see like Germany like on the outskirts of like Moscow in 1941, the German army was like got all the way to Moscow, yes. But in between that territory, there was like massive resistance groups that were going on in like Ukraine and Belarus, for example. That were just like fighting the Nazis like partisans. And so that area was not fully conquered. So people like look at maps and they say, oh, these empires conquered this, but they don't realize that a lot of that land, there's rebellions in that land, and partisans that are fighting. And the same thing with the Romans. The Romans had conquered too much land. They didn't have the resources to hold all of that land, and what happened was the Romans actually had a form of universal income where they would the poor in their empire would actually get this money. I don't remember how much money they got exactly, that I don't know, but if you were like a poor person in Rome, you were entitled, if you were a Roman citizen, you were entitled to get some of this universal income that they had. And what happened is Rome started going through economic problems. You had really bad inflation, and then the barbarians were mostly from Germany. The barbarians actually, they came in, these tribes, and they were just attacking the Romans, and they were just pushing the Romans back. And the Romans were never able to fully conquer Germania because of these tribes, and these tribes basically pushed the Romans all the way back to Rome. And the barbarians even took over Rome. They actually pushed all the way into Italy, and they took the capital of Rome. What the Romans did in that time, when they were running out of money, they abolished the income for the poor. And so imagine if you were like a poor person and you were getting that income from the government, people got really angry. And they started rioting, and there was like rebellions in Rome, and there was mass protests, and so a lot of this, it was just, the whole thing just fell apart. It was just like that. The whole thing collapsed. It was invasions and not being able to hold territory, massive inflation. As for the last Roman king, nobody really knows what happened to him. He was imprisoned by the barbarians, but we don't know exactly what happened. There's conspiracies that the last Roman emperor traveled to like Britannia, which was controlled by Rome, and he became King Arthur. So there's conspiracies about that he became King Arthur. People believe that the last Roman emperor, but I think that's a story. I don't think that's necessarily true. And also, I think the barbarians probably killed him because the last Roman emperor was actually very young. I think he was even like a teenager. So it was back then they would kill like an entire royal family, like everybody, because they didn't want like that kid to like make a claim to the throne like years later and start a rebellion. But also here's a fact for you. You know the word vandalize, like when somebody vandalizes property. That word actually comes from ancient Rome because it was the Vandals tribe from Germany. The Vandals were a barbarian tribe from Germany that when they came into Rome, they would just burn and destroy everything. And that's where the word vandalize came from. It came from the Vandal tribes that would come into Rome and just basically destroy and burn everything. Well, the thing about that is Italy did not exist as a country until, the 1870s, Suppressor. And here's the thing is nobody identified as an Italian back then. Like, back when, like, Rome existed, there was no such thing as, like, an Italian. Like, people, the Italians could trace their ancestry back to the Romans, sure, but nobody back then, like, over 1,000 years ago would say I'm Italian. Like, that didn't happen, stuff like that. So it was people would say I'm Roman. That's how people would describe themselves. They would, and thing is, the title Italian did not come up until, like, the 1870s, because, like, back before that, when you had, like, different cities, people would say, like, I'm Venetian, I'm not Italian, or I'm from Tuscany, I'm a Tuscany. I don't know how they would say it, but, they would say all the different cities in Italy, and they would identify their nationality with their city specifically. So it wasn't like people did not identify as Italians until that's a very, new concept within, like, the last, 200 years when people started identifying as Italians. Sorry for asking about Jormungand lore video, Valmay. No, it's fine, Suppressor. It is perfectly fine. And like I said, dude, I can't do a lore video on that because of the copyright claims, because the copyright claims are just so out of control. And the thing about this is, I watch like these YouTube channels that, like, they do these anime, like, recap videos, like, where they explain what happened in an anime and stuff like that, and I don't know how they upload that. I don't know how they do that. Because if I even uploaded, like, a minute of a clip of, like, an anime, I would get copyright claims. So I don't know how they manage to monetize, like, doing these, like, anime story videos, and, like, I don't know how content creators do that. How they get away with that. But, like, if I post anything like that, anything like reacting to anything, explaining anything from, like, a story, it gets claimed. Like, even when I was doing the Black Ops playthrough, when I did the Black Ops playthrough, do you guys remember the video I did with the Mason does the Russian roulette with the Viet Cong, that part? And I was showing, like, the scenes from Rambo 2, and I was showing the scenes from the Deer Hunter. And the thing is, that got copyright claimed, and I think that's fair use, because I had a commentary on it, and I explained exactly, where this scene with the revolver came from. It came from the movie The Deer Hunter, which is a Vietnam War movie. So that there was when they were taken prisoner and they were forced to play Russian roulette. So it was completely based on that. And I also did the Rambo clips, where, like, when Rambo takes the helicopter and he just, starts blowing up all the Soviets and the Vietnamese. That was from Rambo 2. So, like, the same way he, Mason and Woods get revenge. And I was explaining that in the video, but I got copyright claim. And I tried to write back to these companies, the companies that claimed Rambo and the companies who claimed Deer Hunter, and I said, listen, this is fair use. I gave credit to the movie. I'm doing commentary over this. It's only a small part of the video. I believe it's fair use. They rejected the claim. They rejected it, and there's nothing I can do at this point. So I don't know how these guys, like, these YouTube channels, they react to these videos and, like, do stuff like that, but whenever I do anything, and whenever I show any kind of scene from a movie or anything like that, I always get constantly copyright claimed. But I will say this, the only movie that I've never gotten copyright claim for, that I've actually gotten, the movie has been very fair to me, is Downfall. If anybody knows the movie Downfall, it's like that movie about, like, Hitler being in his bunker in, like, the last few weeks of the war before he kills himself. When I was playing Call of Duty World at War, I was showing, like, movie scenes from that movie, and I was explaining it, like, during the Battle of Berlin, like, Lincoln, because that movie is very historically accurate. And whenever I would get a copyright claim for the Downfall movie, I would just write back to the Downfall creators, and I would say, this is fair use, I'm adding commentary to it, and they would always, they would always get rid of the claim, and they would let me monetize it. So the creators of that movie were very fair, and they didn't, do any copyright BS. But, like, every single other, movie, if I ever do any kind of, footage or anything, the video gets demonetized. And I didn't want to remove the Deer Hunter or the Rambo scenes from the Black Ops playthrough, because it was, made the playthrough so much better. So I just decided to keep the video demonetized, but it's just such a shame, and it pisses me off that, that stuff like that happens. Let me see here. In your opinion, was the most moral person in who was the most moral person in Tony Soprano's crew in The Sopranos? Was everyone evil because of being associated with a mob? Everybody was a bad person. Everybody was. There was no good people in Tony's crew. I would say the two least evil characters in the Soprano crew are, if you're talking about made men, specifically made men, the least evil one is Bobby. Bobby is the least worst one out of the entire, Sopranos. I think we can agree with that. But if you're talking about associates, like people who are not made men, the least evil person would probably be Hesh. Hesh, I would see, because I don't think Hesh really did anything, any bad things for most of it. He was he helped finance the crew. He did loan sharking, which is kind of a bad thing, but he didn't really kill anybody. I don't remember Hesh killing anybody. So it was Hesh, I would say, is probably the least worst one out of the entire Sopranos. The worst one is probably Ralph. Ralph is probably the worst one, but Hesh, I would say, is probably the least worst one. Patsy did some pretty bad things too. You have to remember Patsy extorted tried to extort a store owner. He also beat up a construction worker. He threatened Gloria. You have to remember that. He threatened to kill her. When are they gonna release the Black Ops spin-off, White Ops? What? Pro, appreciate that you go the extra mile to risk these claims. Thank you, dude. For the parade on the 30th of April in Saigon, there will be Laotian and Cambodian troops partaking. What do you make of that? There will be flybys as well. Well, it's their choice if they want to partake in that, but it's like I said, is that North Vietnam violated the sovereignty of Laos and Cambodia. Like a lot of people, for example, say that like America violated Laos and Cambodia's sovereignty, and you could definitely make that argument. I'm not saying that's false, but what people don't know is that North Vietnam invaded Laos first. They invaded Laos in 1958. That was 7 years before the U.S. got involved in the Vietnam War. So North Vietnam was already invading Laos and Cambodia years before the U.S. had gotten involved in the war. And this is exactly what I mean when I say that the Vietnam War has so much misinformation. There's so much misinformation on that, because like if you listen to people talk about that war, you would think the Americans are just pure evil, horrible, baby killers, monsters, and the North Vietnamese and the Viet Cong are just heroic freedom fighters who are fighting for their country. That's how badly the misinformation is during the Vietnam War. Is it portrays the U.S. as like pure evil, and it portrays the Viet Cong, which is a terrorist group, as like good and honorable people. So that, like, I would just say there's just so much misinformation about that war. People will not talk about how North Vietnam invaded Laos in 1958. Like, they act like that never happened, and they cannot in their minds, comprehend that like North Vietnam would do something like that. Like I said, is that communists are the best at making propaganda. They are the absolute best. Throughout human history, there have been a lot of empires, a lot of dictatorships that have made propaganda. But when it comes to propaganda, communists are the absolute best at propaganda. They're masters of it. Nobody is better at them is better at propaganda than communists. Like they are so manipulative with their propaganda. People fall for it so easily. Oh, I'm sorry, Cayman. Let me look. What happened to society, man? People used to be nicer and understand things. Nowadays, would you get punched in the mouth if you, nowadays you would get punched in the mouth if you said something wrong. I don't know personally why, I don't understand personally why some people can be really rude, but, personally for me is, I don't have time for rude people. If somebody's rude, I don't have time for them. I don't want to deal with them anymore. I will tell you that, this one, hang on one second here, okay. That was a good shot, okay. Nice shot, okay. Okay, 1 second, So, about the rude people, right? What I will say about is and you might think that I'm crazy for saying this. You might think I'm crazy, but the thing is, I'm actually happy that I met so many rude people in my life. And the reason I'm happy about that is because it gave me a bigger perspective on life, and it also showed me that there are really, really rude and nasty people out there. Because I will tell you, when I first started working in retail when I was 19 years old, if you told me when I was a 19-year-old kid, if you told me that somebody, could flip out on you and like curse you out and threaten you because like a coupon didn't work, I would say that you're talking, crap. I would say that that's BS. That's not, that's not possible. Nobody's gonna, get that pissed off over like a coupon being denied. But like working in retail, for example, has given me a greater perspective and just shown me just how bad, some people can just overreact and how, angry some people can get. But, I would just say is, if I can avoid, rude people, I'm gonna do my absolute best to avoid rude people. And I will tell you this, I will tell you also this, I'm a landlord, and I'm very nice to my tenants, and I've never had like a dispute or anything any real in the last two tenants that I've had for like one tenant that I've had for 2 years and another tenant that I've had for a year. We have a great relationship. There's no problems, nothing of the sort. Everyone's cool with each other. Everyone's nice. But if I had like really rude tenants, like really rude, even if they paid on time, every month, the second that lease would expire, and I would tell them that they have to move out. So like the second our contract is done and the lease, I would just, because I don't want to deal with anybody that's rude and nasty. So that's it. So it's like treat people the way you want to be treated, the golden rule. So that's basically it. And I will tell you that that in my experience, a rude tenant, like a rude and nasty tenant, is the worst kind of tenant that you can possibly have. They are the worst one. And even if they pay on time, they're the worst one. You would think that you think the worst type of tenant is the tenant who doesn't pay and is constantly late. But but if somebody's late on their payments, for example, there might be something going on. You talk to them about it, you work out like a plan or something like that. But if somebody, for example, I'll give you an example. If somebody does not pay, right? If they don't pay, the rent, there's a process. You can start, an eviction process. In every state is different, but you can do a process to get them out of the house, get them out of the property. But if somebody is rude and nasty and they're paying their rent on time, there's nothing you can do about that. There is absolutely nothing you can do. So even if they're like rude and nasty and they're causing problems with the neighbors, as long as they're not breaking any kind of laws, there really is nothing that you can do about it. And the reason that I say the rude tenants are the worst type of tenants that you can have is because I know my neighbors for my rental properties, and they have my numbers too. And if something bad happened, if I had like a really rude and nasty, tenant living there, the neighbors would get pissed at me, and they'd be like, why are you renting out, the house to this scumbag who's like, cursing me out and stuff like that, and then it looks bad on me. And so basically, it's like more of a reputation thing that you've rented out to like you've rented out the property to like bad, rude, nasty people, and now everybody hates you in the neighborhood, and everybody blames you for like, renting out to that person. So I would say that the reason that I consider, rude tenants worse than tenants who don't pay is because tenants who don't pay, there's at least a process that you can use to get them out. But if you have like a rude and nasty tenant, and there's nothing you can do about that. So, and then you have to deal with them basically for a year. So that's what I would basically say about that, is that if I had like a really rude and nasty person, even if they paid on time, the second that the lease would expire, like a year would go by, I would just tell them that they have to move out. So that would basically be it, because I don't want to deal with any rude people. What is the main difference between communist and fascist propaganda? Well, that's a good question. It depends on the type of fascist propaganda. I'm assuming because the different regimes, like, fascist Italy and, Nazi Germany and fascist Spain, they had, like, different forms of propaganda, but I'm assuming you mean Nazi propaganda when you say specifically, fascist. But here's the thing is, Soviet propaganda was more effective and gave their troops greater morale during World War II than Nazi propaganda. And the reason the Nazi propaganda and the Soviet propaganda during World War II is very different. For example, the Nazi propaganda would never acknowledge defeats. Never. They would never acknowledge defeats, ever. They would always say, we're winning, we're winning, we're winning, Germany is winning, is winning. They would never acknowledge that they were losing, ever. Like any kind of battle, they would never acknowledge it. They would pretend like they're winning. And even when they were at the gates of Moscow and they basically got pushed back, they claimed, oh, we chose a different target. We chose to attack Stalingrad now. We didn't retreat. We didn't lose the Battle of Moscow when they did. The only time the Nazi propaganda could not lie about a victory was at Stalingrad. Because at Stalingrad, there was an entire army that got destroyed. Like, the entire army got captured and destroyed. So, literally, there was no one that came back from the 6th Army. So they couldn't cover that up. They couldn't just, hide and say, oh, we still won at Stalingrad. And what the propaganda basically said was, they said, the Germans in Stalingrad fought to the very last man, and, there was no survivors. That's what the Nazi propaganda was. But in reality, we know that's not true. And there was over 40,000 prisoners taken at Stalingrad. So it was, Frederick Paulus, who was the general of Stalingrad, surrendered, and that was it. That's what the Nazi propaganda was like. Is they would refuse to admit that they were losing. They would never admit it. The thing is, there was a joke in Germany, and the joke was that the Germans knew that they were losing because the victories got closer and closer to home. That's how they knew they were losing. Kind of a joke that people say. Because the Nazi propaganda was always saying we're winning. Like, a perfect example is if you go on YouTube, there's like those Nazi propaganda film reels that you can watch from like World War II, where there's like those news broadcasters are talking about like the state of the war, and the news broadcasters never say that they're losing. They always say, oh, we're winning, the heroic German army defeated and crushed this enemy, we've taken so many Soviet and American prisoners, and blah 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 this. Now, if you actually compare that to the Soviet propaganda, the Soviet propaganda you would think is actually similar in this regard, but it's not. The Soviet propaganda was a bit different. What the Soviet propaganda did was the Soviet propaganda actually admitted to losses. They did. When they lost battles, they actually admitted to it. They said, we've lost, Ukraine, we've lost Belarus, the enemy is outside Moscow. But the difference is, like, if you listen to Soviet propaganda, they would say things like, comrades, is like, Russia has never been taken. We will never have our country fall. We will never have our country taken over by imperialists. We will fight on to the very end. With dark times in our nation, but we will resist. Just as we resisted Napoleon, we will resist the Nazis. That's what the Soviet propaganda was like. So it was admitting that they were losing. It was admitting that they were in a bad state, but it was telling people, resist, fight. Russia has never been conquered. We will never give up. Stuff like that. We will fight on. We can defeat them. So that was it. It was admitting that there was defeats, but it was actually telling their soldiers, do not give up, because our country has never been conquered. We will fight on. We will prevail. We will win, just as we won against Napoleon. And that propaganda gave their troops greater morale, because the propaganda didn't lie. It didn't basically cover up that they were losing battles. It's admitted that they were losing battles, but it told them, fight for your, country. And I'm not defending the Soviet government. I know the Soviets were bad too, but what I'm saying is that propaganda was more effective because it gave their soldiers more of a morale boost. So it's telling them, fight for your country. Your country's getting taken over. We will not let the fascists, take over our land. So that was basically it. That's why the Soviet propaganda was a lot more effective. I hope that answered your question a bit there. You're a gaming genius, bro. Thank you for your contributions to the community. Thank you, dude. When's the next Ace Attorney Investigations part? Either tomorrow or the next day. Wasn't Abwehr ineffective in self-sabotaging? The thing about Abwehr is, or Abwehr, I think that's how you pronounce it in German, Abwehr. Abwehr, the intelligence agency. Abwehr was basically Nazi Germany's version of the CIA. That's basically what they were. They were an intelligence agency. The Abwehr, a lot of their Abwehr agents were actually anti-Nazis. And they would help the Allies, and they would give the Allies valuable intel. And that, like, for example, the last Abwehr chief had actually been sent to a concentration camp by Hitler and had actually been strangled with piano wire. His death was really brutal because of the fact that he was collaborating against Hitler. Do you think the U.S. would have won Operation Downfall? Oh, 100%, yes. If the U.S. had fought in Operation Downfall, we would have definitely won, 100%. But the thing is, it could have lasted up to a year. It could last up to a year. That's how long Operation Downfall could last. And Operation Downfall, if Operation Downfall was to have happened, that battle would have had more American losses than any other battle in American history. So, like, I think the battle that had the most amount of Americans that died in history, I think it was the Battle of Antietam during the Civil War. I think that's the battle where the most amount of Americans died, or is Gettysburg. But that Downfall would have definitely beaten that. It would have definitely, there would have been way more people died. Maybe even 1 million Americans would have died if Operation Downfall had happened. Why is Woods pronounced Woods? You're saying like Lodz. Well, it's because in the Polish language, the L is typically pronounced with like a W. That's what it is. Like the L with the like a little like line through the middle. That's Let me find a new set up a new bounty here. Oh, gotta get away from here. Thoughts on joining the U.S. military in 2025? I'm considering the Air Force. Yeah, I don't think that, I think that, joining the military can be a promising career. It depends on what you do. I'm not an expert on that, so I don't know. But it makes sure that it's just something that you generally like. Because I'll tell you something, I had a friend of mine who went into the Navy, and he hated it. He hated, being in the Navy, and he doesn't regret it though. By the way, he's told me that he was proud to serve his country, but he hated some of the jobs that he had, and he hated some of the people that he worked with. So it was to him he probably would have chosen a different branch. But it was it really depends on what you want to do. Some people are gonna like a certain job, some people aren't. So it let me see here. Yes, but Oblivion Remastered, maybe we'll do it sometime in June, William. We might do it then. But the thing about Oblivion is, what's going to be so complicated for Oblivion? It's going to be trying to create a cosplay for that. Trying to, create an outfit for the Oblivion playthrough. That's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard to think about something like that. Yes, I'll replay Liberty City Stories for the 20th anniversary, but the thing about that is I don't know if the 20th anniversary is going to be when GTA 6 comes out. I really hope it doesn't, because that would really suck if that was the case. Did you major in history? What's your history background? No, I didn't major in history. I took a bunch of history classes. I don't have a degree in history, but most of my history knowledge comes from reading specifically. I just like to read, so I don't, I don't have a degree. But there are a lot of history that I do know. Specifically World War II I know pretty well. But it depends on the time period. And also, for people that don't know what Operation Downfall is, that was the U.S. planned invasion of Japan. If the U.S. had invaded Japan, this would have been 10 times worse than D-Day. If you think the Normandy landings were bad, invading Japan would have been literally 10 times worse. That's how bad the casualties would have been if we invaded Japan. Were my parents into history? My mom, not really. My dad, kind of, yeah. My dad reads a lot of historical books. But my dad doesn't really know American history, that well. He knows, Polish history really well, all the way up to the medieval times. But he doesn't know American history that well. The 20th anniversary of Liberty City Stories is in November. Do you think Operation Downfall would have been a failure if it happened? No, the U.S. would have won. The only question is how bad the losses would have been, but the U.S. would have won that. Here's the thing: is if Operation Downfall happened, more Japanese would have died during that, civilians specifically, than during the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So more civilians would have died overall during Operation Downfall than the atomic bombings. It was that would have been the most costliest, in Operation Downfall would have been the largest, amphibious invasion in human history if it happened. Well, that is true, Soldierist, that the U.S. did fly planes over, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and they dropped flyers, thousands of flyers of papers, and those papers, basically told the civilians in Japanese that, our war is not with the Japanese people, our war is with the emperor and the Japanese government, and that in a few days, the entire city will be destroyed. That's what the paper said. Thousands of these papers were dropped, and it told civilians, flee, leave the city, leave Hiroshima and Nagasaki now, and if you were actually caught reading this, you get executed. So the Japanese would kill their own people for reading these, these pamphlets, these flyers that the U.S. planes would drop. And the Japanese government was telling the people, don't leave Hiroshima and Nagasaki, nothing will happen. That's what the Japanese government kept telling people, that nothing was going to happen. It was all just propaganda, but you see, it's not what happened in the end. Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. John F. Kennedy said that. JFK. Why is the Korean War forgotten? Because it happened right after World War II, and also it's most people talk about Vietnam. Okay, wait, I know where this guy is. This guy spawns either behind the barn here. If he's not behind the barn, there's a few other... I know all the locations he spawns in. He could be, like, back here on this, like, little, like... Sometimes he's back here. Thank you, Anthony A, for subscribing. How evil was Francisco Franco? Franco was a pretty bad guy. Franco was not a, Franco wasn't as evil as, like, you know, Hitler, for example, but, Franco did give refuge to a lot of Nazis and a lot of, the fascist leader of Croatia. I forget his name, but he took refuge in Spain, and Franco gave him refuge. So there was, Franco interacted with a lot of really bad people and had ties to a lot of really bad people. Franco did arrest anybody that went against him, too. Do you have a degree in history? No. You don't need a degree to be good at history. Oh, that was... I actually have that video recommended to me the other day, a simple history video. I didn't watch it. Okay, the only other place that he could spawn is he spawns sometimes behind these houses. Let's see here, if he's back here. A bit confused where he is. I'm visiting the locations. He's either at the log yard, the houses, the field, or the barn. I'm having fun with Days Gone Remastered. I hope that, you know, they consider making a second game. I'd really like that. What if JFK didn't get assassinated? If JFK did not get assassinated, he probably would not have been in the Vietnam War fully. Like, if JFK was president, what we probably would have been doing is we probably would have been sending thousands of advisors to Vietnam, but we would not have actually been physically, you know, present with our military in Vietnam. But yeah, you can blame Lyndon B. Johnson for that. He was one of the worst American presidents, and he got us involved in Vietnam. Got so many people killed. Where is this guy? Nixon, where is he? We see. Oh, he's behind the barn. That's where he was. I checked there earlier. I didn't see him. So he was in the location. Oh, he was laying down there in the corner. That's why I didn't see him. Okay. Do you think Nixon is an underrated president? I think that Nixon understood diplomacy. That was his greatest strength. He knew how to talk to countries. But yeah, Nixon did some bad things too. The worst, like, two really bad things that Nixon did is he supported Pakistan when it invaded Bangladesh in 1971. He supported that, and Pakistan was committing war crimes in Bangladesh. That pissed India off really badly. He also pardoned a lot of the people that were involved in the My Lai massacre. That was when those American soldiers had killed a lot of Vietnamese civilians. But Nixon's strength was his diplomacy. Is when it came to other world leaders, especially hostile leaders, he knew how to talk to them. Like specifically like Mao, like Nixon traveled to communist China and he calmed things down with China, and he brought China kind of closer to America than to the Soviet Union, because China really didn't like the Soviet Union. So he kind of calmed things down with China, and that was probably his greatest accomplishment. Yeah, I'll play Dead Rising 2 in K0. Yes, Bangladesh was East Pakistan back then. I don't know about that, Dragon Gaming. That freaking animal blundetto. Yeah, that's Sopranos. Yeah, Phil keeps saying that. What are the best kinds of tenants? You know, people that are respectful, pay on time, you know, keep the house in good condition. Do you think a 9 to 5, is modern slavery? No, I wouldn't put it like that, but I would say that 9 to 5 is like it's just like a bad time to work, because you wake up, you know, a little bit of the morning has already passed, and then once you get off from work, you know, it's afternoon, it's late afternoon, you know, you go home, you drive through, you're probably stuck in traffic, you make some food, you take a shower. By the time you're all done with that, it's like 8 o'clock, you know, 8 p.m. You barely have any time to yourself. Then you gotta go to sleep, wake up for the next day, and, you know, do it all over again. And so, I would say 9 to 5, it's like, yeah, I would say the dream is probably to be self-employed. And I know not everyone can do that, but I would say is if you can diversify your income and, you know, get income from different, you know, sources, you know, that would be ultimately the best. And I hope that everybody can be self-employed. I hope everybody can do that. Because, like, I will tell you guys something. I've gone through some mental health problems on YouTube, like doing YouTube for like 7 years. But my worst mental health problems have been when I worked in retail. And so, YouTube for me is you know, so much better. It's like literally 10 or 20 times better than, you know, working in retail. I would not trade working in YouTube for anything, really. Being a tunnel rat in the Vietnam War is the worst job that you could have. Have I watched Twisted Metal? Yes, I'm waiting for season 2. I work at Saudi Aramco as a clerk. Well, what's that? For $6,000 a month. A good pay, to be honest. $6,000 a month. You're talking US dollars? That's $72,000 a year. Do you have an income tax in Saudi Arabia? But that's decent. What's your most overrated and underrated GTA title?
Less gruesome business bringing them in alive. This part, at least. How them coins look for your efforts?
Saudi Aramco. The most underrated GTA game, Vice City Stories. Most overrated GTA game? Probably GTA 5. GTA 5 is still a great game, but people always say that it's the best one in the series, but I wouldn't agree with that. You don't have any kind of tax in Saudi Arabia. That's what I thought. A lot of Middle Eastern countries do not have an income tax. I know that United Arab Emirates does not have an income tax also. But yeah, I wish we had no income tax in America. But yeah, you get to keep more of your paycheck, more of your money, $72,000 a year, and you get to keep the majority of it. So that's great. Okay, Monto's rest here. Okay. Would I do a co-op playthrough of Army of Two 2008? Yeah, I could do that. Does the server still work on it? Yesterday was Remembrance Day of the Armenian Genocide, and me me at the zoo video is 20 years old. Oh, me at the zoo is the first YouTube video ever made. Yeah. The really horrible thing about the Armenian Genocide is the modern day Turkish government denies it. They say that it didn't happen. Do I prefer warfare or offensive mode in Hell Let Loose? It depends on the map. It really does. For example, do you know what the worst warfare map to play on is? The worst one? The worst warfare map to play on is I would say Omaha or Utah Beach is the worst one. And the reason that the warfare game mode is so bad on that map in Hell Let Loose is because the US team spawns on the beach, and if the German team pushes them back and gets to the beach, they can just keep picking them off as they respawn on the beach, and that is like that map was designed for an offensive game mode where the US is supposed to push off the beach, not like. So that's what I would say about that, is that it really depends on the map. Hey MZG. Yeah, I could probably do a Hell Let Loose stream one day, and I could probably dress up in my, American World War II uniform. We could do that. What series is better, Modern Warfare or Black Ops? Black Ops 1 and 2 were great. Black Ops 3 and 4, not so much. Cold War and Black Ops 6, I thought were decent stories. Yeah, Hell Let Loose is worth playing. Okay, I'll see you, Suscat. Was there any particular job in law enforcement that stood out to you besides detective? Yeah, prosecutor, if you count that as law enforcement. Do I think the Hellgas from Killzone were the bad guys? They weren't the good guys, but the ISA were not the good guys either. They were both bad in their own ways. How were my high school years? Okay, 11th grade was a bit rough, but I would say my favorite year was probably 12th grade. 12th grade I had, you know, the most fun with, and I enjoyed 12th grade the most. If I had kids, would I let them play games like GTA? It depends on the age. I would say that I mean I played GTA games when I was like 10 years old. So I mean I really wouldn't have an issue with it. But I would make sure that they understand the difference between a video game and a and real life. What are the best kind of tenants? The best kind of tenant is somebody who pays on time, they're respectful, and they keep the house in good condition. You don't use your diploma at all today. That's true, I don't. That's one of the reasons I don't think that college is necessary, also. Well, Zakhaev in Call of Duty Cold War is not from Call of Duty 4. He's from the Zakhaev in the Modern Warfare reboot, but you don't see him there because they say he died. Is Modern Warfare reboot not in the Black Ops universe? It is, yeah. But the Black Ops universe is not in the same universe as the Call of Duty 4 and Modern Warfare 2 original universe. How many cars do I need to only source top range cars? You want to fill up your warehouse, your vehicle warehouse, with as many medium and low range cars as you can. So whenever you see any mid-range cars or any low-range cars, get them. If you see them pop up, get them. Eventually, it'll get to a point where it'll just give you top range only. So when you have enough, mid and low-range cars, you'll only get top-range cars. You'll know when you get to it because you only keep seeing top-range cars. So like whenever you see those, mid-range and low-range cars pop up, just get them. Put them in your warehouse. Don't sell them. Keep them, and eventually you'll only get top-range cars. Wait, are you talking about the Serbian dictator, Lewis? my next video, I'll have a Days Gone video up tomorrow. If you're talking about lore videos, sometime next week. Well, thank you, Affinity. My next lore video, for people wondering, is going to be on Reznov in Black Ops. I have a really good video planned on him. Oh, Hudson, speaking of Reznov, I just had Hudson subscribe. Thank you, Hudson, for subscribing to that channel. Thank you, dude. Loved your Black Ops 1 series you did in the past few weeks. Thank you, dude. Thank you, man. I'll listen to any kind of music, really. Kirkus Alba was a scumbag. Yeah, Chancellor, I will eventually make a lore video on Johnny. I want to do it. It's one of my goals. Yeah. Oh, I'm really excited to play Oblivion. And I'll do a playthrough of it in June or July. I'll do a playthrough of it. Someone who's 72 years old but manages to murder 2 people. Technically, Alba killed 4 people, technically. He killed, Damask 2, he killed Manny Kochin, and he also ordered, burn Faraday's death, and also the guy, the other guy, forget the guy's name, the guy who's accused of murder in that case. So he ordered 2 people dead and killed 2 people himself. Do I know the case of Iwao Hakamada? No, he sounds Japanese, is he? I'll look him up right now. He's a Japanese boxer that was accused of mass murder. I never heard of this guy before. He was found... Oh, I think I seen the YouTube video. Is this the guy who the police chief apologized to him, like he came to his house and bowed to him and apologized to him? Is that the guy you're talking about? I seen a video of that, of a police chief apologizing to an old guy in Japan for his false imprisonment. Is that... Thank you, General's Alert. Okay, Blinded Eagle. Hey, Patrick, if you can eat your food while everybody is losing theirs and blaming you, you straight, homie. Big Smoke. Yeah, Big Smoke said that. Thank you, Isaiah, for the super chat. Kenny Veach? No, I've never heard of him. Who's that? Yes, she did, Jonathan. And yes, I heard about it. Just some poetry I read. Oh, man. Isaiah. How many monitors do you have? Oh, I play on one big screen, really. I have my chat on the left side and my game on the right side. Alright, Last of Us is gonna be 12 years old, in June. Yeah, I've been to a public library before. Where what? Blinded Eagle? I could possibly do a playthrough of The Last of Us. I just have to work in the schedule. I don't know if it would be on the anniversary, but I'll eventually do a playthrough of it.
Hello. So, what shall we create?
All we had to do was follow the damn train, CJ. Thank you, Isaiah. But also, that quote on Big Smoke, if you can eat your food while everybody else is losing theirs, then you straight, homie. What that basically means is if you can profit, if you can make money while everybody else is getting ripped off, then that's okay. That's basically what he's saying, is if you can take advantage of the situation while everybody else is getting screwed over, that's good. That's essentially what he's saying. What is the channel roadmap for the rest of 2025? One or two lore videos every month. I'm working on my next lore video actually, so it'll be 2 lore videos this month. The Mason and Reznov lore video, but that actually might come out the beginning of May. But we'll be doing that. I'm also gonna make another channel update video. Thank you, Beast King, for subscribing. I wanted to ask you guys. Are you guys who saw my video like a month ago that I made where I reacted to like your comments on like retail horror stories? Do you want me to make another video like that? I don't want to like milk a series. I don't want to, do this same thing over and over. But if you want me to like do like a video like reacting to like comments of people talking about crazy situations at their jobs, I can do like another video like that. But it would be up to, I might make it in a poll. I might just make like a poll and ask people if they want a video like that again, and if most people vote yes, then I'll do it. Where's the operating room? I don't have time for this. Where? Oh, that's Joel says that, yeah. Thank you, Blind Eagle. What headset do you use on your PS3 streams, Pat? I don't use a headset on my PS3 streams, so whenever I play PS3, I don't talk to anyone on PS3. Oh, and speaking of which, right, GTA 4 is the 28th when it came out. Let me see. It was the 29 April. April 29. What day is that? Let me look at my calendar here. Yeah, we'll do a GTA 4 stream this week. I have a question. For anybody who plays Xbox, can you answer me this question? Oh, it's a Tuesday. Okay, perfect. I can do GTA 4 this Tuesday. For anybody who plays Xbox, am I able to download GTA 4 on the Xbox store, the Marketplace store? I have Xbox Series X. Can I download GTA 4 on Xbox? Because a lot of people have asked me to play Xbox this time. So I played PS3 the last few times. I'll play Xbox this time. I can? Okay. Then I'll just buy it this weekend and I'll download it. And the stream next week on GTA 4 will be on Xbox. I'll play with my Xbox viewers because I know a lot of people have asked me, can I do GTA 4 streams on Xbox? So I think it's time we did a GTA 4 stream on Xbox to be fair to those viewers. Okay, so yeah, that settles it. We will do GTA 4 on Xbox on this Tuesday. And I got a question: Does GTA 4 on Xbox Series X, does it run better than GTA 4 on PS3? I would imagine it runs a little bit better because it's running on the Series X. It's but. It does. Okay. It's 60 FPS. It's 60 FPS on Xbox. Really? Really it is. Okay. That's because I remember the last time we played Lost and Damned, because I played Lost and Damned multiplayer on my excuse me. We played Lost and Damned on my GTA 4 multiplayer stream a long time ago. And we did that one mode on Lost and Damned multiplayer where it's like one person is the target on a motorcycle and they have to escape from everybody else. And we got like a full lobby and we had like 10 people on motorcycles all driving next to each other and it was like 10 frames. It was like really bad. So if you're telling me that it's like 60 frames on Xbox, then yeah, I'll definitely be excited to do that. It was that I remember that when I did that stream and we had so many people riding in like together and like the Lost and Damned multiplayer stream, the frames were so bad. It was on the PS3 version, so I gotta try it out on the Xbox version, see if the frames are better. Cordyceps gunner, because of the fact that it's in the air. Have I ever been taught coding when I was at school? No. Is there a siphon filter Easter egg in Days Gone? Is there one? Where'd everyone in the posse go? I'm not sure. Oh, I missed the super chat. I'm sorry. Let me look. Which version of The Last of Us playthrough are you gonna play on PS3? PS3 original, PS4 remaster, or PS5 remake? I'll probably do the remake. If I do a playthrough, I'll do the remake. Thank you, Isaiah, for the super chat. Yo, what's up, man? Could you do more GTA 5 videos? Always my favorite. Yeah, I can do a GTA 5 video, but you just gotta wait a little bit, Icy, if you can be a little patient with me. But I promise I'll make another GTA 5 video. But the next GTA 5 video I'll make it on Wade specifically. So Wade in GTA 5, a lore video analyzing him as a character. That was gonna take me a little bit of time. The Marcelo video took me like a few days to make. The Marcelo video was actually not that hard to make on Max Payne. But the Wade video might be a little harder to make, but I'll still make it. Also, that Max Payne 3 lore video that I uploaded, I had it's at like 22,000 views right now. I checked it. I had like 200 new subscribers from it. So like a lot of people subscribed to me from that Max Payne Marcelo video. Yeah, and that's what I'll say about that's what I'll say about GTA. About what I'll say ultimately about Xbox is, even as somebody who's a PlayStation gamer, right? The Xbox Xbox has beaten PlayStation in backwards compatibility. Like they have won that war. Damn. Terrible with my shots right now. Been loving the lore content professional. Thank you, APAC. Thank you, dude. Thank you for the super chat.
I'll get you.
What are your thoughts on Medal of Honor European Assault? Medal of Honor European Assault, I will actually do a playthrough of that next year. So next year, March, we will do it on the Saint Nazaire raid anniversary. So on the anniversary of the Saint Nazaire raid, we'll do the first part of Medal of Honor European Assault. But I played European Assault when I was a kid. I actually have European Assault for Xbox. So I should be. I think it's backwards compatibility, so I should be able to play it on my Xbox Series X also. But yeah, European Assault was a great game, and the soundtrack in European Assault, like that soundtrack, is just so good.
Good God.
And also, I love the the dialogue in Medal of Honor European Assault. I do like the dialogue. When they say the main character in the game, he says, "There's nothing good about war, but there is good in why you fight war." I remember he says that. When did you get a Series X? Oh, I got that like 2 months ago. Wait, so Medal of Honor European Assault isn't backwards compatible? Really? It's not?
Son of a bitch.
Do I know anything about the medics? What do you mean, like World War II? I will say this, that, during World War II, medics were generally respected on the Western Front. So, when the U.S. fought against, like, Germany in France and in Italy, medics generally, for the most part, were respected on both sides. Sometimes German medics and American medics would actually interact with each other on the battlefield. Like, not actually kill each other, but, like, actually both carry each other's wounded. That happened. But when it came to the Eastern Front, there was no respect for medics whatsoever. The Germans would shoot Soviet medics, and the Soviets would shoot German medics. And in the Pacific, there was no respect for medics. The Japanese actually specifically targeted medics, so they would find medics and they would go after them. That's why medics stopped wearing their medic armband and their medic the cross on their helmets, because they would be specifically targeted for that. And I don't think the Japanese even really used medics in World War II. Because I've never really heard anything about Japanese medics, because the Japanese would just basically had their entire ideology was just you fight to the death. That was their entire viewpoint. You don't surrender. You keep fighting and fighting. You fight till you cannot till you're dead, basically. So it was I know that the Japanese thought that Americans were weak for using medics. They thought that. Been loving the lore content professional. Thank you, APAC, and thank you, MZG, $20 donation. Thank you, dude. Hey, Pro, a prankster got arrested in the Philippines for robbing a woman with a fake gun as a joke, harassing people and filming without the consent, and that guy was dumb, and I heard he could get 25 years in jail. Is this Vitaly? Is this the guy that you're talking about? Is it Vitaly? Vitaly, like the Russian-American YouTuber? Is that who you're talking about? Give up the money, this is a raid. Wait, that one, give up the money, this is a raid. It sounds familiar. What's that one from? I don't know what the hell is wrong with Vitaly. I don't know. I used to watch him when I was a kid, but that was like 10 years ago. I remember I watched some of his videos when I was a kid, so I know who Vitaly is. He did do some funny videos like a long time ago, like when he wasn't so crazy. Like I remember when he did the Yeti video, like there was like or Sasquatch. It was like a Sasquatch prank, like in the woods. That one was kind of funny, but then he just went crazy. Like, he turned into a bad person overall. And the thing is, have you looked at what Vitaly looks like? Like, Vitaly looks like a psychopath now, if you, like, look at him. Like, it looks like he's on steroids or something. Like, you just look at him, he just does not look healthy. Like, he's all buffed out, but it's not normal, like, the way he looks. It's just creepy. Like, have you seen what he looks like? It's just, it's not... Like, I don't know what the hell went wrong with his head. Like, he clearly has some issues, and the thing is, you know, Vitaly was like a millionaire. Like, you know, he made so much money from his YouTube channel. I don't know, like, why he would, you know, get so stupid and so dumb like this. But you know what I really hope? I really hope that the United States government does not get involved, because I'm pretty sure that Vitaly is an American citizen, because I think he was born in the U.S. 'Cause I know he's a Russian-American YouTuber, but I think he was born in the U.S., so he does have citizenship, but I really hope the U.S. government doesn't get involved and, like, pressure the Philippines government, because that would be really bad for us to, like, you know, for our government to, like, you know, get involved for, like, a guy who's causing problems in their country. So, honestly, I hope he, you know, pays to the full extent of the law, and I hope that the Philippines fully punishes him. So that was, that, I don't know what the hell is wrong with Vitaly. Oh, Ryder who said that, yeah. That, I don't know what happened to Vitaly. He used to be a more normal person like a decade ago, but he just went crazy. Yeah, I know some of the Medal of Honor games are very brutal. I know the videos. I've seen them. I've seen them before. I've seen Grandpa Gaming. He's like the sniper, right? The old man was like a sniper. I've seen a few of his videos. I've seen his videos on Delta Force. I think he was playing Delta Force. That game. So he was it was the Delta, the new version of the Delta game. I'm pretty sure he was playing that one. He was getting like sniper kills. I saw one of his videos. Here's what I don't understand, is that the thing I'll tell you about this is, I think that both Jack Doherty, I think that both Jack Doherty and Vitaly, I think that both of them probably have the exact same problems, and that is that both of these guys are prankster YouTubers who got rich off of their YouTube pranks. And what I think the problem with both of them is, I think they've gotten to a point where they feel so important because they have like millions of subscribers. They feel like they're above everybody else, and they feel like they can get away with any prank, and they think they can just up the ante on any prank that they do, and there won't be consequences. And Vitaly learned the hard way now. But I think that exact same thing is going to happen to Jack Doherty. I think that one day Jack Doherty is going to do something really bad. He's done pretty bad things now, but I think he's going to do something really bad one day that there's going to be basically no walking away from it, and he's going to get really punished really badly for it. So one day, you know, he's going to go too far one day. He's going to do something really bad. But I will tell you something. These YouTube pranksters are like so stupid, some of them. I saw this one YouTube video, and it was recommended to me. I don't even know who the prankster was, but it was this guy who would walk into like supermarkets, and he would basically put up like a fake fire alarm. So he would attach his fake fire alarm to the wall. And what he would do is he would basically tell the people in the store, I'm going to pull the fire alarm, I'm going to pull the fire alarm. And they would try to stop him, and then he would pull it. And whenever he would pull it, it would play like sex noises and stuff like that. It was disgusting. And I was like, people watch this, people like this, they think that this is funny, this is stupid. You're causing a panic in a store, you're telling people you're going to pull the fire alarm, which is clearly illegal if there's no fire. Even if it's fake, you're endangering people, you're scaring people. So like, you know, back in the day, I remember, is like people made funny pranks back in the day where they wouldn't actually hurt anybody. And they would, they would be funny, everybody would laugh at them, nobody would get offended, nobody would get hurt. But like some of these pranksters, they've gone, too far. This stupid Johnny Somali idiot, Vitaly, you have Jack Doherty, you have idiots, basically. And like I said about Vitaly, is like, if you watch his videos from like a decade ago, like more than 10 years ago, he wasn't this crazy, bad person like a long time ago. He actually made, some funny videos back in the day. But, now he's, just going way too out of control. He's gotten arrested for assault before. Like, the steroids have really gone to his head. There's something clearly wrong with him. He has serious issues. No, that's his name, Johnny Somali. But I will tell you guys something. If you ever watch that Canadian YouTube channel, there's a Canadian YouTube channel called Just for Laughs. And Just for Laughs is like the best prank channel, the best one. And the reason that Just for Laughs is like the best prank channel is because they do harmless pranks, like really funny pranks that nobody gets hurt in and everybody laughs. And even the victims of the prank laugh at it because it's so funny. So like they never hurt anybody in their pranks, they never offend anybody. They are, you know, if you ever go on YouTube and look them up Just for Laughs, they're like the best pranking channel. They've never done anything bad that has hurt anybody. Same old CJ, Busta, straight Busta. Thank you, Isaiah. Yep, Ryder says that. Can I do this stream after 9 p.m. Eastern? I want to play with you, but I have work. You mean the Sunday stream? Is that what you're talking about, JBK? Oh, and I will tell you something else. There's another toxic pranker, the British prankster, Mizzy. Is it Mizzy? I think his name, Mizzy. Am I saying his name right? There was the British prankster. He's basically the British Jack Doherty. He's done some really stupid things. Some really dumb things. Like he's walked into a train. Like he walked into like a train conductor's room and was messing with the buttons. He walks into random people's houses. He scares the crap out of people on the streets. He's and he uploads videos on this. You know, he's a complete idiot. I think he got arrested too in the UK. But I will tell you something. He is really lucky that he did that in the UK, because literally, what he would do is he would constantly walk into people's homes. Like he would just open up the doors to people's homes and just walk into their homes, like, and just sit down in their homes and like go into their fridges and stuff like this. This is like a YouTube prankster who did this. Like he would just trespass on people's property, and he's very lucky he did this in the UK, because I'm telling you, if he did this in my country, in the United States, he would have gotten shot. If he walked into somebody's house like that and just was trespassing on their house, like, he would have eventually gotten shot. It would have happened to him. So he's really lucky that it happened in the UK. But, like, in my country, if somebody comes into your house, it depends on the state and it depends on the laws, but he could get into serious trouble or he could get really hurt.
Look who it is. My most trusted employee.
Would you ever collaborate with Grandpa Gaming? Do you think you could beat him? If I was to collaborate with Grandpa Gaming, we would do a 1v1 in Sniper Elite, and it would be an invasion mode. And we could do maybe like 5 rounds of me invading his game, and then 5 rounds of him invading my game.
I get in a boat. Ride the spring dog all the way to Valley.
But I would, but that's not something I want to do right now at the moment. I have a lot of projects to work on, but I could probably contact him in the future, and we could do like a sniper battle against each other.
Get it?
Sniper games are always the games that I've been the best at.
Okay. Good.
Honestly, Vitaly might take the cake for the hostage one. The hostage one, what was that? How would I handle a new Saints Row reboot if I had full control? Scrap everything from the old reboot. Scrap it all. New universe again. And this time, what we're doing is we're going back to Stillwater. Stillwater, the old city. And we're going back to the old characters. Troy, Julius, remake of the old characters, a reboot of them. And instead of having the Carnales, the the Rollers and the Vice Kings will have 3 new gangs. So, like, 3 new gangs. And the city will be different looking, but it'll still be Stillwater. Wasn't there a prank video where the guy got shot for harassing a guy with sound? Yes. I remember that. I don't know what state that happened in, but basically, what happened is there was a YouTube prankster that was harassing a DoorDash driver. And there was a DoorDash driver who went to a shopping mall. He picked up a food order. And the stupid prankster kept getting in his way. Like, he would actually block him. Like, he would not let him leave. And he kept getting in his way. And what he would do is he would play these really loud sex noises. So these really loud sex sounds from his phone. He would just constantly keep playing it in his face. And the DoorDash driver kept telling him, I have a job to go to. You know, stop blocking me. Get out of my way. And the guy wouldn't get out of his way. Kept getting in front of him. And he would just keep playing the sex, sex sounds on the phone. And the DoorDash driver got pissed off, took out a gun and shot him in the arm. And the DoorDash driver got arrested. But I think he was found not guilty. So I'm pretty sure he was found not guilty for that. The only thing, because he was allowed to carry a weapon, so there was no laws that were broken in that. But I don't know if it was the right thing to shoot him. But I would just say that situation could have been completely avoided if that idiot had not been harassing that guy in the first place. Well, Homefront I don't think I've covered, but Sniper Elite I have, Long John's, Silver, but I do want to cover Homefront one day. What are your top 3 games that I've played of all time? Saints Row 2, best game I've ever played is Saints Row 2. Skyrim, Saints Row 2, Skyrim, and, what would be another one I would put on there? Call of Duty World at War. Go to this camp. Here we go. I've seen people scream names of staff in stores and recording on TikTok. People are crazy. What? The hell is wrong with people? Vitaly is gonna, spend decades in a Philippine prison, and Philippine prisons are no joke, so. Did I have extremely toxic coworkers in retail? Some, yes. Is it Mr. Hopkins? Okay, yeah, I might play that one too. Hey Pro, good evening. Can you share what are your lore videos you're planning to do? Thanks. Thank you, Jonathan. Lore videos right now, I have a video coming out, top 10 hidden early signs that Reznov was not real in Black Ops 1. And then I have a video coming out on Reznov and proof that Reznov is alive and he escaped Vorkuta. And then I could probably, later in May or early June, I could make a video on Wade in, GTA 4, or GTA 5.
You got no way of escape.
How do I get in your friends list? Well, if you tell me your PSN, I can add you later after the stream. Yo, Pro, why did you never upload any DMZ content? I feel like you're one of the few creators that excel at making games like DMZ. Always love the content since the 4 million a day money guides. Thank you, Shadox 141. Do you still play DMZ? But, how do you know that I like DMZ so much? Have you heard me talk about it before on the stream? Yeah, I play DMZ a lot. It's a game I'm very familiar with. And here's the thing about DMZ. I actually did plan on making guides on DMZ. I did. Because I was actually pretty good at making some of those guides. But basically, what was it? Like some of those missions that were in DMZ, like the missions that you had, I was really good at figuring out how to get them done really quickly. I remember there was that one mission where you had to kill, I think it was kill like 3 enemies with an explosive when you're underwater. And that mission was like really hard. But the mission is that you just have to be underwater when the explosive goes off. So you don't actually have to kill enemies underwater. And the easy way to do that mission, I remember, was you just put a bunch of C4 in a vehicle, and you just tell your friend to drive to a bunch of AI, and tell them when you're near them, and then detonate it, and then you detonate it while you're underwater, you got the mission done. So I was able to figure out how to do a lot of these missions pretty quickly in DMZ, but the reason I never made guides on it was because it was abandoned. It was abandoned, and the content, there's no more new missions coming out, there's no more content, and on top of that, not only that, but most players on DMZ today are just constantly killing everybody. Like, people don't do missions anymore on DMZ. Like, if you play DMZ right now, you know what I'm talking about. Like, nobody does missions anymore in DMZ. Like, whenever I join squads, I'm like, do you guys need help with a mission or anything? And they're like, no, they just want to kill. Like, they're literally looking around just to kill players. So it's like, everybody's on DMZ just killing now. They're not even doing the missions, and I blame the developer because they abandoned the game. If they would have added new missions and new content, it would have kept people busy, but now all people do on DMZ is they just keep killing each other, and it's that's what's just so frustrating about it. I missed when there was the missions were added. You had to actually figure out how to get the mission done before the radiation kicked in. They were actually kind of fun, but now, like, there's no more missions being added, no more stuff, and this is the developers just abandoned the game. But there are big rumors that DMZ 2 is coming out with Modern Warfare 4 next year, and if that is the case, and there's missions like that, I will definitely do guides on that. I could do some live streams on DMZ if you want in the future. Oh, Shadox, what's your PSN? Can you tell me? Thank you for checking Grandpa Gaming. I recommended him since he's a Vietnam War veteran, and you said that Vietnam War veterans were not respected. Yeah, Vietnam War veterans today are not respected a lot of times, and people see like Vietnam War veterans and they think that they're like a war criminal. It's just like most Vietnam War veterans were just, you know, kids that were, you know, 18, 19 that were drafted, and they had no choice but they had to go to war. Thanks, Yo-Yo. Thank you, dude, for subscribing. Are you gonna upload the short where the plane crashed in New San Andreas? Yeah, I could upload that one. That one's kind of funny. Bakar X. Well, next time that I'm on DMZ, just send me an invite, if I have you added, because I usually play DMZ, like, late afternoon, like, Eastern and Central US time, so that's usually when I'm on DMZ if I play it. I'm not on every day, but... Greetings from Zambia. Oh, hey, dude, I know where Zambia is. That's in Africa. Yeah, I like geography. Let's see here, let me see, who was it that, and Lethal, did you tell me what your PSN is? Yes, Strike, I can add you. Just tell me what your PSN is, too. What are some of the games you're going to play in 2026? Well, Modern Warfare 4, for one, hopefully it's good. What other games are coming out in 2026? I don't know. It's still a year away, so I'm not sure on that one. Okay, let me, Okay, Lethal and Strike. I'll add you guys that are later tonight or tomorrow. Okay. I usually try to add 2 people a stream, but I can add the, you don't have to donate to me for me to add you, by the way. I usually try to add 2 people a stream. But you play DMZ, Shadox. So do you know what I mean in DMZ? How like how in DMZ most people in DMZ don't bother with missions. They don't bother with getting money. All they want to do now is kill. You know what I mean, right? And the thing about this is players in my squad get angry at me if I go for money in DMZ. Like if I start opening up safes, like I'll have people in my squad get pissed off at me. They're like, "What are you doing? You know, help us kill these people." It's like, no, let's get some money first. You know, let's get some money. We can get kill streaks and stuff like that in the safe, and we get money. And we can use that to buy stuff at the buy station. But it's like you know, people I don't understand sometimes the people in DMZ, like literally I don't know, like, what's going through their head when they make the decisions that they make. Like, I've encountered some really stupid players on that game. Like, there was this one guy in my squad who was, I was telling him, dude, stick together. It was just me and my friend, and it was, like, another guy. And what happened was I was telling this guy, dude, stay together. Let's get some money together. We can buy some, you know, 3 plates. We're going to open up a few safes, do a few contracts here. And you know what the guy did? He immediately, with a 1-plate vest, he ran to Mazra City, which Mazra City, the high-rise building in Mazra City, that's where all the snipers camp or teams. He had a 1-plate vest, a starter vest, and he ran up on that skyscraper trying to, like, fight a bunch of them. And then he was raging and telling us to come over here and pick him up when he was literally across the map. And I'm like, I'm not going over there. I'm not, you know, going to go pick you up now. It's like, we told you to stay together, but you decided to run off on your own and just fight, you know, a bunch of snipers and then die. So, like, people, I would say is that people don't have patience, and some people are just so ignorant when you play games like that. You want to know something, Shadox? I have killed people a lot in DMZ. You know how I've killed people a lot? By getting money. When I open up those safes, I find advanced UAVs and UAVs all the time in it. And when somebody starts attacking me, I just call in that advanced UAV, I find them, and I kill them really quickly. So literally, getting money in DMZ has helped me to kill players. And also, what getting money has done, I buy those, the turreted LTV. And that turreted LTV, the $75,000 one, that machine gun on it, a lot of people, it's the most underrated weapon in DMZ, the machine gun on the LTV, because that machine gun has such high range. I've sniped people on the high rise with like hundreds of meters away from that with that machine gun, because the range of that machine gun is so big, and it can rip through 3-plate armors in just a few seconds. But nobody ever used that machine gun on the LTV, but it's a very, you know, effective weapon. So that's it, is that there are ways to kill people in DMZ. You don't constantly need to, you know, just going around, you know, killing at the start of the game. You can get money together, then buy some stuff, buy some kill streaks, buy some better weapons. You know, there's things you can do, but people always say, oh, I don't need to get money. I want to kill people now. I'll get better guns, better plates when I kill them. Yeah, Brandon, you remember we played together. Pro, GTA Man said that GTA Online Doomsday Heist was the perfect ending for GTA Online. Look at how it ended. Do you agree? I think the perfect ending for GTA Online was the contract. The contract DLC, like the end of that, like wrapping up Franklin's story, and then like helping, Dr. Dre out, and then like Dr. Dre flies away in his helicopter. I thought that was like, the best ending to GTA Online. So like we really didn't need another update after contract. I would have actually preferred to get more content for Reddit Online, but there we go, won that. I know, Brandon. Will there ever be another Kane and Lynch, or at least remastered collector's edition with both games? I don't think so, dude. I think they've given up on it. I did have a PS3 and 360. And not only that, I had a PS1 and a PS2 also. GTA 6 Collector's Edition probably won't include the disc. Oh, man. I love how gutsy your dad was when he trolled the factory boss's owner as he came late, able to stood up to the boss. Yep. So for people that don't know this story, my dad would work at a factory in Poland when he was around my age, and Poland was a communist country, and what happened was the bosses of the factories, they were called directors. That's what they were called. And my dad arrived late one day, and the director yelled at him and said, "You're not going to arrive late to my factory." And my dad said, "Your factory? I thought it was our factory." And this made the director so angry, because in communism, technically, there's no, private property. Everybody, the state owns everything, and it's supposed to be shared by everybody, but in reality, the government just owns everything. Yeah, I did do a story mode playthrough, I see, of GTA 5. I'm not sure on that, Mason. Four and a jack. I'm folding. I don't feel confident with this hand. Yeah. Look at the guy with the top hat and the suit there, dressing fancy. Well, Caesar, please stop arguing with him, dude. Yes, we will do it in May. Hustler, I'm folding here. Why would he go in with those cards, 8 and 9? That's terrible. That's even worse. 2 and 5. What are these people? Okay, he had really good cards, but what are those guys thinking? The 8 and a 9 and a 2 and a 5. Why would you go in with that? Oh, yes, they did, Zombie Fanatic. Yeah, I could try to Hustler, yep. Not that I know of, Jonathan. Well, my dad was a guy who just did not care. My dad was, even when my dad was younger, he was also in the communist military, and he would curse out his officers. So that's the type of guy that my dad was. But his officers deserved it though, because his officers were just scumbags. So it was mostly officers were just communist propagandists. They weren't like real leaders. They were just people who were gonna indoctrinate the soldiers instead of actually like protecting the country. But I'll try. This is a risk. Queen and a 10. What do you got? Let's see. Oh no. I've got to get a queen. I've got to get a queen here. If I get a queen, I'll beat him, but if not, it's over. I won. There we go. I got that. Have I heard of Augusto Pinochet? Yes, he was the dictator of Chile. Really bad guy. Does your dad say the same interest in knowledge and history as you and world? He knows Polish history really well, but he doesn't know American history that well. What's up, Shadox? Yeah, one day, maybe, Mr. Hopkins. Are you live only 2 days a week? No. Fridays and Sundays I'm always online, but I'm trying to fit in more days. Like, I've been doing Yakuza 0 streams, getting 100%. I haven't gotten the chance to do a 100% stream this week, but this Tuesday, we will do a bunch of streams. On Tuesday, we will do a... on Tuesday, we'll do a video on a stream on GTA 4 and Xbox for the online for the anniversary of GTA 4. On Thursday, we'll probably do Yakuza 0, 100% again, and then Friday, Red Dead, and then Sunday, GTA 5. I remember talking Red Dead Redemption back in English class. Well, Red Dead can be a very historical game, too. Do I like peanut butter? What kind of question is that? Well, I do, but I haven't had peanut butter in some time. Have I ever behaved like my dad? No, I wouldn't have the guts to like yell at somebody even if they're being a total scumbag to me. Folding this here. Oh, and did I go to school for you long? And there's far less cheaters on PS5 than PC. Take a look at GT Online on PC. Yeah, well, PC is a disaster. It is. Yakuza 0 is going to be on Switch too. I heard about that, but is there going to be a version for is there going to be a version for PS5? That remake? And who were you, Long? When you played on PS3, did you like the PS3 controller, or did you think it was too small? I like the PS3 controller. I don't think I really had an issue with it. Another Men of Valor tonight, tomorrow, Cheese. Okay, Queen and 9, here we go. Do you think it's crazy that you're 30 and the same guy in charge, and the same guy in charge of Iran since 1989? Yep. But the thing is, though, is that the oldest dictator in power right now is not the Iranian supreme leader. The oldest dictator in power is the dictator of Eritrea. Eritrea, if I'm pronouncing that name correctly. Fold here. Wait, Long, are you still here, dude? What do I think about Joseph Tito? I think about Tito. Tito was a not a good man, but he was Oh, okay, yes, yes, Long, I remember you. But about Tito, here's the thing about Tito, is, Tito was not a good man, but, you know, he did do bad things, he did kill his own people, you know, he had, you know, specific prisons, like his own former gulags for his opponents. But about Tito is, Tito was a bad person, but he wasn't as brutal as, like, Stalin, for example. And Tito's greatest accomplishment, is that he protected his country from Stalin. Because while he wasn't a good person, he was a murderer, you know, he did do bad things. The thing about Tito is, if it was not for Tito, Stalin would have conquered Yugoslavia. He would have. So Tito was a communist, but he hated Stalin. So Yugoslavia was that one communist country that hated the Soviet Union. Communist Albania also hated the Soviet Union, but Yugoslavia and Albania were those two communist countries that, hated the Soviet Union. And what happened is Tito was a very popular leader in Yugoslavia because during the Yugoslavian war, he was a partisan commander. Like, he actually fought on the front lines. Like, Tito actually fought in World War II, where Stalin did not fight, in the war. Stalin didn't even fight in World War I. Stalin did fight in the Russian Civil War, but he didn't fight in the First War or the Second War. But Tito, on the other hand, was a commander. He fought in the Second World War. And about Tito is Tito... the Yugoslavian, this is what people don't know about history, is that the Yugoslavian resistance was the most powerful resistance in Europe during World War II. Like, people think that it was the Polish resistance, the Armia Krajowa, or the French resistance, which Armia Krajowa was a very, very strong. When it comes to Eastern Europe, the Armia Krajowa, the Polish resistance, was the strongest resistance in Europe during World War II. But if we're talking all of Europe, not Eastern Europe like Poland, then if we're talking all of Europe, the Yugoslavian partisans were the most effective. The Yugoslavian partisans had dug these massive tunnel networks. They had ambushed the Nazis. They drove the Nazis out of their country. And they had actually were so effective that they actually pushed the Nazis out of Yugoslavia, where a lot of other resistance members, they would cause a lot of problems for the Nazis, but they were never able to fully drive the Nazis out of their country. It wasn't until the Americans came into France, for example, that the French resistance helped to drive the Nazis out, and then the Soviets came into Poland and drove the Nazis fully out, but then the Soviets went after the Polish resistance afterwards. But about Tito, going back to his point, Tito was very popular because he was considered a war hero in Yugoslavia, and the reason that Stalin got really angry at Tito was because Tito did not want to be part of the Warsaw Pact, and Tito did not want to be a puppet of Stalin. So Stalin wanted communist Yugoslavia to basically be a puppet, a proxy of the Soviet Union, and Tito really didn't want that. Tito wanted Yugoslavia to be more of an independent country, and Stalin got really mad about that he sent multiple assassins to try to kill Tito, and every single assassin was caught. So Tito survived multiple assassination attempts. And Tito got so angry at Stalin that he actually wrote, Stalin like a letter. And in the letter, he said, stop sending people to kill me. We've already caught one guy with a rifle, one guy with poison, one guy with a bomb. If you send one more person to try to kill me, I will send my own guy to Moscow, and I won't have to send another one. That's what Tito wrote to Stalin. And Stalin never sent another assassin to kill him. And Stalin was actually terrified of Tito. Like, he thought that Tito was going to assassinate him. So that's Tito was that guy that Stalin was absolutely terrified of. And Tito himself was Tito was a bad person, but he wasn't pure evil like Stalin, where Stalin was just pure evil. So it was Tito did do bad things. He did kill his people too. He did do some horrible things. But if you compare him to Stalin, Stalin is 10 times worse than him. What do you think about communism? It's a failure of a system. It has never worked anywhere on the planet. It's been a disaster everywhere that it's been tried. And Along, are you still here, by the way? I'm gonna check on this here. Let's check. No, I'm folding. I got really good cards, but I don't have a single pair. So this is... Yeah, the queens, the community cards, they don't count. This is gonna go bad. Folding on this is not gonna work. Yeah, that guy would have won. Who would win in a fight, Deacon and Boozer or Joel and Tommy? If we're talking about their height, at their height, their strongest moments, Deacon is a lot younger than Joel. You have to remember that too. But Joel is a tough guy. But about about who would win the fight, Deacon and Boozer or Tommy and Joel. Tommy and Joel, I think, would win if they were at their height right after the apocalypse. But if we're talking Last of Us 2, Tommy and Joel, Deacon and Boozer would absolutely destroy Last of Us, 2, Tommy and Joel. And you know what would happen is if Joel and Tommy met like Deacon and Boozer, they would be like, oh, hey, you should come to our camp. It's here. You should resupply with us. That's probably what they would be like. Because like Joel was so stupid in like The Last of Us 2. Like he was just like Joel would not want to help anybody in The Last of Us 1. And then The Last of Us 2, he just, saves Abby that's like a total stranger. And then he wants to, he starts telling them about their camp. It's just like, I cannot imagine Joel would ever do something like that. Glad I found your channel, and awesome to see you're doing your thing. Keep it up, bro. Thank you, Long. And Long, do you have a PSN or an Xbox name by any chance? Thank you for the super chat. Thank you, dude. What is what? It's just my Red Dead stream, dude. Okay, I'm gonna check here, because I'm not that confident with these cards. Wait, what's your question, Phoenix? Can you say it one more time? I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, check. Hopefully, please check. Don't raise. Please just check. Check it. Come on, check. Okay, there we go. He checked. I'm checking now, too. Okay. Come on, check, too. Okay, there we go. Please check, don't raise. Please just check. Okay, good. Okay, let's see. He has a 5 and a 10. Oh, he's gonna win this. I bought a capture card for my PS3. Will it record my voice for streams? I want to talk with my audience. Yeah, but you would have to set up through OBS and you have to set up your mic. But capture cards are not going to capture your voice. You're going to have to set up a separate thing through OBS for that. Capture cards is just going to record your game. You record the audio as you're playing the game. You would just link it to OBS. But Long John, are you still here, dude? Do you have a PlayStation name or an Xbox gamer tag? Do I have you added? King and 2, okay. No, I haven't made a lore video on the Lost. I do want to make one, but... Yeah, capture cards are not typically going to record your voice, but even if a capture card did record your voice, you don't want a capture card that's going to record your voice, because you're going to be, like, yelling into something. You want a good mic. Like, me, for example, I use the Blue Yeti right here. You see this? This is like, what I talk into. So that's what I use for my streaming. And the thing about Blue Yeti is a pretty affordable mic for a streamer. It's and I've had the same Blue Yeti for like 6 years and hasn't failed me. So for 6 years I've been using the exact same recording mic, and there's no reason for me to upgrade to a different mic because this mic is fine. People hear me clearly, and I'm able to record everything just fine, and it's really good quality. And the Yeti has been great. It's been the absolute best mic for recording for me. Put another $1 in here. I might win a lot of money here in this part. He's out. He's calling. Okay. He's calling. Perfect. Okay, let's see what our final card is going to be. Okay. The only thing that can beat me is if somebody has 2 pairs. That's the only thing that can beat me right now, or a triple, but Let's see, I'm gonna risk it. Oh my god, oh. Hit it straight. Oh man. Oh. Damn. I thought I had that. I had a king too, which was you still here, Long John, by the way? Which is worse during the Cold War, Communist Yugoslavia or Communist Albania? If I had to choose, I'd rather live in Communist Yugoslavia than live in Communist Albania. The dictator of Communist Albania, Hoxer, I think his name was, he was a psycho. He built, like, bunkers all over the country, just, like, paranoid that the U.S. was going to invade. It was, like, and he had killed so many people, too. He was just a, literally, he was a complete psycho. Like, that guy. He admired Mao Zedong, too. He was, no, it was, yeah. He destroyed Albania. He ruined Albania. It was a... Oh, well, John, I was gonna ask you, do you have a PSN or a, do you have a PSN or, an Xbox gamer tag? I wanted to add you, if I don't have you added already. I'm gonna win this hand, by the way. This one I'm gonna win. It's a jack and a 10. I'm gonna win this. I'm definitely gonna win this. 100%. A random question, but who is Jonas Savimbi? Jonas Savimbi was a Angolan man who fought against the MPLA in the Angola Civil War. He also appears in Black Ops 2. The MPLA killed him in 2002 in a shootout. Do you know anything about South American history? What country, specifically? Why would he was bluffing, you see that? He was bluffing. And then he wanted to go, he thought I was bluffing too, but he had terrible cards. No, I didn't know that, Luis, but I know that Brazil used to be a very brutal dictatorship, and Brazil was also the last country in the Western world to abolish slavery. It was like the 1890s when Brazil abolished slavery. I thought ace high is the best card. Well, you can have an ace, but here's the thing is, the cards, in poker, the two cards that you have are important, but the most important is the community cards, the cards that appear on the table. And trying to match it with those cards is depending on the hand that's going to win. And you have to try to, the thing, this is why poker is a game of both luck and skill, because it's luck on the cards that you get, but it's also skill knowing when to bet and knowing how to read your opponent. That's, Who was the MPLA? They were a communist rebels that ended up winning in the Angola Civil War. Max Payne 3, are the New Jersey scenes a flashback? Yeah, they're a flashback. They, Max basically explains what happened. I will play Oblivion Remastered, yes. Oh, I have one pair? Okay. Thank you, Cayman, for the super chat. And thank you, Somebody32, for the super chat. Oh, thank you, Mario. Thank you for sponsoring my channel for nearly 3 years. And you sent me something on Twitter earlier. I did look at it. It was, yeah, it was, I just didn't see, I didn't see all of your, I didn't see all of your messages, but yeah, that one, that, somebody is attacking a Tesla car, that's honestly one of the stupidest things that I've heard about. I don't want to get into the whole political drama, but the only thing I'll say about it is, people who attack Tesla cars because, they're pissed off at the government, that is one of the stupidest things I've heard. Like, and literally, somebody could be driving a Tesla car and have nothing to do with politics, and what, they just vandalize their car. Hi, Luca. Thank you for the super chat, dude. Yeah, I think Days Gone 2 will come out. This remaster is a success. It will. What's your Xbox gamer tag? I believe it's just a professional. But I'll be doing an Xbox stream of on Tuesday, and then you can add me on that. Probably a lot of people will probably add me that day, but. Oh, max bet people are going in here. Ah. One of the main reasons Brazil became a republic was because the abolition of slavery. The oligarchs wanted to receive money for the slaves they lost. I didn't know that. Have you ever... I got a question for you, Luis. Have you ever heard about the game, Is it... I think it's Crimes and Punishments where it happens. Sherlock Holmes Crimes and Punishments. Have you ever heard about that game, Luis? Well, if there's a case in the game, because Sherlock Holmes Crimes and Punishments takes place in Great Britain, but there's a case specifically that's about Brazil. There were these British explorers that had in one of the cases, these British explorers, they had were exploring some forest in the Amazons. And they were trying to find some treasure at some ancient temple, and what happened was the British explorers, one of them found the treasure, but one of the other explorers, he got his hand caught in a trap. And what ended up happening is the other explorers, after they took the treasure, they just left him there with his hand stuck in the trap, and he lost his hand. He had to cut off his hand to escape from the trap. And what happened is he then got captured by a bunch of Brazilian explorers. And they took him back to Brazil, and then they enslaved him, and he spent like a slave for several years in Brazil. And what he did was he then broke out. He broke out of the he escaped from the slave plantation in Brazil, and he also escaped with his Brazilian friend who was also a slave, and he traveled back to Britain on a ship. And then what he did was his friend, his Brazilian friend, started killing all of the other British explorers who like abandoned him, and left him there. And so that was like a case talking about that specifically, because it was like because Sherlock Holmes Crimes and Punishments takes place in like the 1890s, and like when people played that game they were a bit confused that they were talking about slavery, but they didn't understand that Brazil still had slavery in the 1890s, and that was like a case talking about that. But at the end of that case, you have to decide what to do, and you can either arrest both of them, or you can choose to let them go. And what I did is I let them go because the guy had lost his arm because his friends had betrayed him, and he started killing his friends off because they left him for dead. So that's the one thing I like about that Sherlock Holmes game, is that you can decide, you know, the fate of the killer at the end of each case. And that was that case where I didn't prosecute the killer in that one. I let him go, but that entire case was revolving about Brazil's history, Luis. But I'll do a playthrough of it one day, and you might find that case interesting. Does anybody play Sherlock Holmes Crimes and Punishments? Do you know the case I'm talking about in the game? Oh, great, nothing here. Yes, I've seen it, but I never played the game myself. So you guys know the case that I'm talking about then, yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, you know, Sherlock Holmes, Crimes and Punishments, and Devil's Daughter were really good games. I would even compare them to L.A. Noire. The investigations in those games were really interesting, and the stories were really well written in a lot of those cases. Wait, so you don't play on PlayStation or on Xbox, Long John? Can you do a playthrough Bully again next year for the game's 20th anniversary? And can you play the anniversary edition? Oh yeah, it is 2006 when Bully came out. So yeah, the anniversary's coming out. Yeah, Sean. When is the anniversary? We did a playthrough of Bully like 2 years ago, so I don't know if we'll do a playthrough of it, but we could do a stream again. We could go for getting 100% completion. We could do that. How are you so good at blackjack and casino games in general? Well, poker, I just know how to play poker. I wouldn't say that I'm an expert at this, but in blackjack, I just like to minimize my my risk on them. Like, if, like, for example, in blackjack, I won't bet on, I won't ask for another card on 14. So, like, my strategy in blackjack is, if I get, like, a 14, I'm not gonna, you know, ask for another card. I'm not going to. So that was typically my trick when I would, you know, do that. Agent Lang, I would say, Jonathan. Is the Sherlock Holmes games as realistic as L.A. Noire? Well, they're kind of similar in that you talk to people, they have to decide on whether they're lying. You look at the evidence. You can bring up the evidence to, you know, in case they're lying. Okay, this one, I'm gonna win this. Okay, here we go. Well, I do like Detective Bad too, but Detective Bad wasn't afraid to go to prison for his crimes, you know. Okay, I'm gonna win this hand. I cannot see myself losing this one. A queen and a 5. Okay. Okay, here I go. I'm gonna get all my money back right now. I dare him to raise. I dare you. Do I think Lieutenant Trezik is a Polish-American? Are you talking about Men of Valor, Gunner? What is he doing? Okay, yeah. Here we go. See if anybody folds. Come on, do it. Put it in. Oh, folding. He gave up. Come on, do it. Put it in. I dare you. Wow. Yeah, look at that. Look at that, right? That was, Okay, time to leave here. Do you think GTA the Trilogy Definitive Edition is worth it now, the classic lighting update? It's way better than when it, you know, came out. Yeah, I don't have a problem with really the Definitive Edition anymore. I don't really have an issue with it personally. And honestly, I usually like making lore videos on the Definitive Edition, because the Definitive Edition has GPS, and on top of that, the Definitive Edition, the cutscenes are a little bit nicer looking. So that's typically why I like, you know, doing, you know, Definitive Edition for lore videos. I don't know, Sayek. Maybe I'll do one on Red Dead 1 also, but I right now, I have a lot of other projects right now, Sayek, and I have the Black Ops lore videos to do. So I got a lot of projects. Maybe I could fit one Red Dead lore video in later on, but right now I have plans to do a few other lore videos, though. What game will you play in a Sunday stream? GTA online, and then Tuesday we'll do GTA 4. How is he? Oh, sitting. Yeah. I could, Sayek, but sometime in the future, not right now, though. Yo, McFadden is a scumbag in Men of Valor. Are you liking that game, by the way, Gunner, Men of Valor? My childhood game console, probably a PS2. What are your thoughts on the Iran-Iraq war? Who was the villain in that war? Ultimately, Iraq was more in the wrong. Iraq did more terrible things in the Iran-Iraq war, but the Iranians were not necessarily the good guys either. The Iranians were a brutal regime too. So they were it was Iraq who invaded Iran, but it was Iran was a brutal, you know, dictatorship and regime at the same time too. But Iraq did some really horrible things in Iran. Like when Iraq invaded Iran, they did some really horrible massacres. Did some really bad things, especially with their gas attacks. And the thing about this is, here's something crazy for you guys. You know the gas Nova 6 in Black Ops 1? Nova 6 is actually based on Tauben gas. It was a real gas, a chemical weapon that Nazi Germany developed, but they never really fully weaponized it. Iraq is the only country that ever used Tauben gas in warfare. So they used the Nazi in a World War II gas when they invaded Iran in the Iran-Iraq war. Do you think there will be a Max Payne 4? I hope not. I don't want a Max Payne 4. I think that Max Payne is perfect, left off perfectly where it did. Here's what I would say about You should check out my Ace Attorney Investigations playthrough, Luis. I'm starting up a new case, so the next part that's gonna be up to me a brand new case, so you don't have to watch the other parts to understand it. About Max Payne 4, here's how did they get their hands on it? They made it. They made it. They just had the formula. They just they mixed it with chlorine gas and mustard gas and a few other weapons, sarin gas too, I think. But yeah, Iraq is the only country that I know of that used the Nazi chemical weapon in combat. But Iraq did some horrible things with that weapon. But about Max Payne 4, what I'll say about Max Payne 4 is, if we're to get a sequel to Max Payne 4, right, or Max Payne 3, the sequel should be a spin-off. It should be a game that's set in the Max Payne universe. So, like, you could have some of the old characters come back, but Max Payne should not come back. Max Payne is retired. So it could be, like, some of the older characters should come back from the Max Payne games, and it could be, like, the same type of gameplay, like the bullet time and stuff like that, but it would have to be a brand new character. It would have to be somebody else. It cannot be Max Payne. So it's, because Max Payne is done. He's retired. He has a happy ending. So I think Max Payne 3's ending is perfect. I don't think we really need a fourth game. I think that that's, you know, it's probably perfect where it ended. Is that. But if they were to do a new game like Max Payne, you know, where I'd like to see it, Mexico probably, in like going after the cartels, like, you know, something like that, like, you know, that bullet time and everything like that. I'd like to see that. Mexico as a setting. Raul Passos should be the main character for a spinoff, maybe. Yeah, I could see Passos being the main character to spinoff, but I don't know. You'd have to make it would have to make sense. Like it would have to make some kind of sense, like, because Passos is not the type of guy that I could see getting involved with like the cartels or something like that. He would you know, he's pretty much done. He wanted to, you know, live his life with Giovanna and raise his child. So it would have to be something, some reason for why. But yeah, I could see Passos being the main character in a new game, but it would have to be some, you know, they'd have to come up with a good reason why he's, you know, getting involved in all this stuff. You should get a cosplay for a new protagonist in Ace Attorney Investigations. Wait, is Edgeworth not the protagonist in Ace Attorney Investigations? In the second game? A few people have said that to me. Wait, let me see here. Long John, are you still here, dude? Well, the thing is, if Giovanna and his baby died, I wouldn't like that, because it would feel like Max's sacrifice for Giovanna was not for nothing, how he saved her so much in Max Payne 3. Because Giovanna was that one person that Max did save, because like there were so many people he couldn't save. He couldn't save Rodrigo, he couldn't save Marcelo, he couldn't save Fabiana, but like Giovanna was that one person that Max, you know, saved. So if they kill off Giovanna in like another game, even if Paz was the main protagonist, I wouldn't like that, because it would feel like, you know, what Max did was, you know, pointless. It would kind of ruin the story for Max Payne 3. So I don't think they should kill off Giovanna. But if you're going to have Passos as like a, you know, the playable character in a new game, they have to have a good reason on why Passos is like back in like action and stuff like that. They got to like explain it better and like have a good reason for why. I will play as another person in 2 cases. Which cases, Aki? Is it which case number is it? Is it case 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? Because I know there's 5 cases. Which cases are the ones where you play as a different character? And what kind of cosplay am I looking for? Like, what kind of, you know, outfit would I be needing this character would be wearing? So you're saying I play as a different prosecutor in two cases? Hot take, I hate GTA 5, not as a game. I think it's a fun game, even though I think the story's underwhelming. But because it negatively impacted Rockstar. You mean like the GTA Online controversies, for example. Yeah, and like GTA Plus did like a lot of damage to Rockstar's reputation, and so did like abandoning Manhunt. Why do you care so much about the lore much in video games? I think it's cool that a YouTuber talk about the lore, don't get me wrong, but is it because you see stuff that other people don't? It's because I just enjoy the stories. And I like to analyze characters, and a lot of times, like for example, like that Dimitri video, like very few people have made like videos on Dimitri beforehand, like in GTA 4, and about Dimitri, I know few other YouTubers have made videos on him before, like mine, but like, not a lot of people have fully analyzed a character like Dimitri. Like, people do, like, a character analysis, for example, on, like, Nico or, like, CJ and stuff like that, but they never do it on, like, you know, Dimitri, for example. And I thought I would do a character analysis on Dimitri, and I would, like, explain it from his perspective. Not defending him, but, like, how he sees things. And Dimitri basically sees everybody as a tool, somebody that he can use. He's a psychopath with no empathy for others, and that's ultimately, whenever I, like, make these lore videos, there's a key to my lore videos. There's a trick to my lore videos. You know what the trick to my lore videos is? Is trying to understand it from the villain's perspective. That's it. Like, just picture yourself as the villain and try to understand why they did what they did. Like, why. And not necessarily to defend it, but, like, understanding their point of view. Like, why are they doing these bad things? Like, why? And that's usually the best way to do character analysis videos, is like you try to look at it from their perspective and you try to understand why they did what they did. And in Dimitri's case, the reason he did what he did was because he was a psychopath and he sees everybody as a tool, everybody that he could, people that he can use, basically. And when he doesn't need them anymore, he's gonna get rid of them. So that was basically the thing about Dimitri, is, Oh my god, the wolf, this is getting annoying now. Playing with free aim here. I missed that shot. About to run out of slugs. But yeah, this game is one of the few games I would say that actually has realistic shotgun slugs in it. Because a lot of games, they get slugs wrong, but so you have bigger range than a shotgun. There we go. Hey Kishan, do you think GTA 5 and GTA Online are the same game, or two games in one? They're almost like two games, basically, even though they have the same map, but GTA Online is so much different than GTA 5. But I would like to think of GTA Online as more like a sequel to GTA 5, because it takes place after the story at this point. CJ's suitcase video is hilarious. Thank you, dude. I hope every dictator steps on a Lego barefoot. Man. Okay, and I guess I'll be wrapping up the stream here. Long John, did you tell me what your PSN was? I I wanted to add you, and is it true they used World War I style trench warfare in Iran-Iraq War? Yes, they did. And there was also child soldiers in the Iran-Iraq War. It was really yeah, that war, and that war does not get covered really in any games, so you don't really see that war covered. Maybe a future Black Ops video could cover the Iran-Iraq War. I could see that happening. But it was like a yeah, I've never seen that war covered in any kind of game. But it was a really big, and the Iran-Iraq War was not a small war. This was a very big war. It went on for nearly 10 years. I wanted to make you laugh. Yeah, you did, April. Yeah, I can help you, and if I have you added, Keyshawn, we can play on Sunday. Well, they reference GTA Online, GTA 6. Oh, you betcha. They will definitely do it. There's definitely going to be references to GTA Online and GTA 6. I don't know what it's going to be, but there's going to be some references. Thank you, Zombie Fanatic. Pro, new protagonist is really important to the lore in the Ace Attorney series. Very important. What kind of outfit does this character wear? Like, what do I need to have for this, this character? I think El Rubio will come back. I know people have told me the voice actor has passed away, but it was I think that they will bring him back. They will just probably use a different voice actor, because it seems like they set him up to be a main character in GTA 6. Because this big drug lord that has an island off the coast of Vice City. I wish you showed your setup and low the volume of games where you're playing, because sometimes it looks like it's too high even for you in some videos. So you think that sometimes my game volume is too loud, huh? What about my Days Gone video recently? Was the game volume good enough on that one? Fedora hat, brown shirt, and a blue tie. Okay. And what case numbers is this character in? Like, what is the case number? Case number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? What? Oh, hey, Diggs, what's wrong, dude? Case 3, okay. Days Gone will be tomorrow, oh no. Or technically today, not tomorrow, because it's already tomorrow. Not the character you played as? Wait, so this new prosecutor that I'm gonna play as in Ace Attorney Investigations, what kind of outfit does he have, or he or she? Like, what are they specifically, like, wearing? Like, is this like a suit, like, tie? What? Days Gone was a very good video. Thank you, Luis. But Luis, if you ever see me playing the Sherlock Holmes game, I'll play it one day. I'll do a playthrough of it on the channel. There's that Brazil case, and you might find that case interesting when they do it. When I do it in the game. What are your thoughts on diaries, journals being stereotyped as a girly thing? Not really. You know, some people like to keep journals and diaries just so that they can go back and to see, like, you know, what they were thinking about and, like, you know, what they were writing about and stuff like that, when they were younger. Sometime later this year, I'll play it, Luis. I should wear a coat and a red bow tie, hat, and glasses. This is case 3, you said? Do you think GTA 6 will come to PC? Yes, but it's going to come probably half a year later. But it's first going to come out to console. Patrolling the Mojave almost makes you wish for a nuclear winter. That line too. You know, I'll tell you something. You know what one of the funniest dialogues in Fallout New Vegas is? It's kind of like a it's when you talk to like that homeless guy. That's in yeah, Freeside, and he just mumbles to you like this drunk like that. But if you have like low intelligence, if you have like 1 intelligence and you talk to him, he sounds so smart, and his entire conversation is different. Thank you, Sean, for that super chat. Yes, the Black Ops 1 Zombies video for Kino is coming out. Coming out this week, coming up. No problem, Jorge. Glad I was able to help. Have I played Last of Us 1? Yes. Okay, Okay, so I guess we'll probably... Have I played Last of Us 2? No, but I've seen a playthrough of it. Well, the best way to make money in GTA Online is to combine businesses. You want to combine multiple businesses. So combine, like, do you think GTA 6 will actually ever come out? Yes. It's gotta. Thank you, Dane. Combine businesses, like buy supplies for your 5MC businesses, your bunker, your acid lab, have your nightclub producing, and then do other things in the meantime, like heists, and then sell it when you're, full. If you have friends selling in a full lobby, you get a big bonus, and then, help your friends sell too. Well, people like it when people do commentary though, Phoenix. It helps attract viewers. Yeah, Last of Us 2. I mean, I know some people like The Last of Us 2, but I just don't like the direction the story went in, personally. Why don't you play games in sequence? What do you mean sequence? What do you mean by that? Oh, okay, Aki. Have a great weekend, Pro and chat. Thank you, Mustang. Yeah, I've seen Die Hard 1. It was a great one. Bruce Willis is a great actor. It's a shame that he's going through some health problems right now. Hopefully he gets better. Yeah, I could do Assassin's Creed 2 one day. I'd have to get the cosplay. Well, I'm kind of doing that with Ace Attorney Investigations right now. We're doing Ace Attorney Investigations 1, now Ace Attorney Investigations 2, next. But yeah, sometimes I like to take a break from the game and I come back to like the sequel later on because the reason for that is because people might be bored of the same type of game again, so I just try to mix things up. Okay, it'll be related to an Ace Attorney 1 case. Okay, Aki. Well, I'm excited to play it. I did play the original Ace Attorney trilogy, so I remember the stories there, too. But, okay, I'll listen to Aki for the cosplay for that. Okay, I think it should be fine. Phoenix 2, you can do that. Businesses still produce when doing heists? Yes, they should. Yeah. When you're doing the finales, maybe not, but I think they do still produce during finales. But they do produce during preps. During preps, they do produce. Do businesses produce when you are in a heist itself, like the finale? Do they, guys? I'm pretty sure they do. Do they? I'm just double-checking for anyone that might know, but I'm pretty sure they do. Can I play GTA 5 with you this weekend? Yeah, you can join me. My favorite mission in the Hitman series, maybe the opera in Hitman Blood Money. Yeah, I like the opera a lot in Hitman Blood Money. I also like the Las Vegas missions in Hitman Blood Money. I like those a lot too. Okay, Phoenix. What will happen if you leave product for too long? Nothing really, but you might get raided. You gotta do the mission, and you can't close app when it's raided. When it's raided, you have to do it, or otherwise you're gonna lose the whole thing. Have a good night, man. I will definitely be turning in for future streams. Enjoy your weekend. Keep doing your thing. Thank you, Long John. And did you have a PSN or an Xbox name? And I wanted to add you. Thoughts on Morrowind, and your thoughts on Morag Tong. I never got through Morrowind. I did beat Blood Moon. I did beat the DLC for it, but I never beat Morrowind itself. Morrowind is backwards compatible, right? On an Xbox Series X, is it? I'll have to play it then on that. Oh, okay, Mr. Hopkins. And you can play the Blood Moon DLC also on it? Oh, okay, Hustler. Thank you for telling me. Okay, what do you think Rockstar should have done to keep Red Dead 2 online popular and better? Next GTA 5 lore video will be on Wade, and it'll be probably sometime near the end of May. Right now, doing the Black Ops lore video. Professional's the best YouTuber in my opinion, because it's the only one that say relevant things and not just YOLO around. Thank you, Luis. What Rockstar should have done to keep Red Dead Online alive is make better updates. Just that's it. You know, add what is it? Add like heists, for example, like actual like robberies, like train robberies, bank robberies, coach robberies. they could have added properties, like you could maybe buy like a factory or something like that, or you could buy like a house and customize it, or like an apartment in San Denis. They could add that and add Mexico as map expansion. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff they could have done, but unfortunately they abandoned it. Crossplay, yeah, but I would have been fine with Xbox, not PC, because I don't want to encounter cheaters. But thank you guys for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed this this stream. If you did, do drop a like, and I will see you guys on the next one. Is there a certain feature or features you're hoping to see in GTA 6? In GTA 6, I want to see... Yeah, they could have added a Mosin Nagant to Red Dead 2. Yeah, they could have definitely added that. Is there a certain feature or features you're hoping to see in GTA 6? Thank you, Dane. I want to see a good economy in GTA 6. I think that having a good economy is the most important thing, because there's not really a point to making money if there's nothing to spend it on. So I think having a good economy, like people always say the map or the story, but a good economy is very important because it helps the rest of the world function. So I think having a good economy of stuff to spend your money on, like look at the Scarface game, for example. Scarface is a great economy, and there's so much stuff to spend money on in the Scarface game. So I would like to see like a lot of cosmetics, a lot of stuff that you can do, furniture, houses, cars, you know, guns, stuff that you can spend your money on. I don't want it to be like GTA 4 where we can only buy guns or you know, buy food, that's it. I want to see, you know, other stuff. Okay, I'll see you guys. Thank you guys for hanging out with me, and I hope everyone has a great weekend. And we'll have the next part of Days Gone out later today. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day, guys.